Okay. Let's do this. All right. Let's rewind that.
And I'm gonna bring it out with this intro. I can still see the peeking through my window. So what do we gotta do? We gotta get back to the scriptures. Cause you ain't on our ancestors. And only Penny will protect us. Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, and community. Kingdom Heart, autonomy.
Kingdom Harbin.
Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, community. Kingdom Heart, autonomy.
It's fire.
Autonomy. Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, community. Kingdom Heart, and autonomy. Autonomy. Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, community. Kingdom Heart, autonomy. Autonomy.
That was hard. That was fire. Let's bring it back. Kingdom Harbinger. Kingdom Harbinger. Okay.
Kingdom Harbinger.
Kingdom Harbinger.
Kingdom Harbinger. Kingdom Harbinger. Kingdom Harbinger. We here now. Boys getting louder like crescendo. We busting every shot to extendo. And I'm gonna bring it out with this intro. I can still see the peeking through my window. So what do we gotta do? We gotta get back to the scriptures. Cause you ain't on our ancestors. And only Penny will protect us. Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, and community. Kingdom Heart, autonomy. Kingdom Heart, autonomy. Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, and community. Kingdom Heart, autonomy. Kingdom Heart, autonomy. Kingdom Heart, we gon' bring back the culture. Kingdom Heart, community.
Kingdom
And autonomy. Autonomy. Kingdom Heart, don't bring back the culture. And community. Kingdom Heart, autonomy. Autonomy.
Okay. So now that we brought the intro in, Shout out to LNL Lorvins, man. You go check the brother out, LNL Tracks. The brother Lorvins, he does a lot of Israelite music. He custom made that track for Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. That's gonna go on mixtape volume 2. So if there's any artists out there that want to contribute to the KHM mixtape volume 2, The Truth Works, holla at me, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Send your best exclusive tracks so we can put it on this new mixtape and get the word out there, man. All right. So email us if you have a hot track, exclusive track that you want on the next mixtape that we're going to release in January. Email me kingdomharbinger@gmail.com so we can hook y'all up. All right. So with that being said, fam, we about to get started. Let me give a couple of shout outs, see what's going on in the chat, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Share the video. Subscribe if you're brand new. All right. So shout out the Bantu Negroes, the Hebrew of Israel, Hoshea Ben Yahawada, Gartrell McKinney, Rodney Frederick, Tahira Beloved, Yashab Awam, Shama Talmid Yahoo, 617, Let's Get It. Tahira Beloved, I think I hollered you already, sis. I think I shouted you out already. Bro Benny Yashrala Wheat, Josh McDonald, never received an email back. I think I did email you, Joshua. Let me go ahead and I'm going to check after the session is over, all right? You can forward it back to me so that way I don't miss it, okay? Lamont Hart. I don't know what you're saying there. Shout out to Phelps 5, Kadar Scales, daughter of the Most High Yah. My brother D Red in the building. What's going on, family? All right. So I'm DivineProspect of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. We're here with another Freestyle Friday session. Okay. We're about to get a little bit lit tonight. Again, I'm going to try to stay under my 2-hour mark unless things take it there. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully we get to end in 2 hours and give y'all a dope show. You feel what I'm saying? So y'all sit back, relax. You know, so many people had, hit me up saying, man, we watch this at home. I get my food, my drinks, or my snacks, my drinks. We sit back watching on the TV through their PS4, their smart TV, their Xbox with their family. So I appreciate everybody that sits down with their family and watches this show. Again, we try to give you some good content. I try to make sure that there's little to no vulgarity on the show and make sure that it's accessible to people of all ages that they can tune in and enjoy KHM TV. Okay, this is what y'all tuning into right now. All right. Shout out to Jetson Silencio in the building. Stacks 2296. What's going on? Oh yeah. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna wrap a little bit. And if I have time, I'll open up the Q&A and we can get busy like we normally do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Phelps, it is his tracks is fire, man. So again, any artists out there, if you know any artists out there, have them email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Shama, you could put the email address in the chat. Shout out to Tranquil7, my brother in the building, Christian apologist brother in the building, Kendrick Black, Henry Campbell. What's going on? Shalom. All right. So with that said, family, thank y'all for jumping in the chat. Again, I see the numbers going up. Be sure y'all hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Hit the subscribe button if you're brand new. Make sure you share this video everywhere. And let's get it popping tonight, all right? All right. Yeah, the Bantu, I know you have questions, so just hold it till we get to the Q&A part, all right? Let me just try to get through a couple of these things first before we get busy, all right? And then I'll open up the panel. So if anybody wants to jump in and have a discussion, I'll post a link in the chat if we have time, and we can do our thing, all right? Okay. So first and foremost, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the video that I posted up from last Sabbath. I mean, I got so many people hitting me up about that video, man. Inbox, email, y'all just flooded me with inbox email. Was asking me all kind of questions, saying that was a dope lecture, that was excellent, whatever. Just so y'all know, that was a portion of a bigger lecture that I told you I was going to do on the name. And I wasn't that lecture wasn't fully baked yet. So Minister Carnes was like, hey, Divine, can you talk about this subject matter at HCA? And I say, yeah, sure, no problem. So that portion I already done, right? So I said, all right, let me kind of parse out that section from my overall lecture on the name, and let me use that and modify a little bit and use that. So I did a part 1 because it was just so much information. I was like, I'd be there for 4+ hours if I did the whole lecture, and I'm not trying to do that. So I broke it up. So part 2 is coming up. Part 2 was supposed to go down tomorrow or today, since it's after midnight, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time to really tidy it up. So I will not be doing it this Saturday. So it will be going down the following Saturday, the following Sabbath. All right. I'm gonna finish cooking that up for y'all. You know what I'm saying? When it's ready, then I'll come and serve y'all with it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I gotta say, man, y'all enjoyed it, man. I mean, you know, there were some issues. Shout out to my brother Brian Gathan and building L. Dotson. What's going on? There were some issues when I did the premiere because for some reason when I uploaded it, uploaded at 1080p, which I typically do, 1080p, but the bit rate was at 15 megabytes per second. And I think the bit rate and the 23.97 as far as the compatibility with the original frame rate of the recorded video caused some issues. So I went ahead and I realigned the frames per second, the FPS, and I cut down the bit rate to 10 megabytes per second and was able to upload it. And then the glitching went away, right? So I apologize for those of y'all who did watch the premiere and got like subpar quality. That's my bad. I apologize for that. I mean, I didn't do it. The video looked fine, but when YouTube was trying to process it, it kept coming out bad, right? So thank y'all, those of you who tuned into it, who put feedback in the chat, those who left comments. Unfortunately, all of that was deleted because I had to get rid of it in order to repost it, right? But I'm glad y'all enjoyed that. By hearing and hearing by says, watch your video about is our lot or lot an asset or liability. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that as well. A lot of times in these lectures, you know, I say on a subject matter and then something is referenced within the subject matter. And then I take a short detour to bring something out, some kind of archaeological reference out to correlate with the literary narrative. And in this case, what I did was showcase that the Tower of Babel was actually a real edifice, right? And I gave the primary source for that, the stele, the Tower of Babel stele, and anybody could look the Tower of Babel stele up and gave some information on that. So I like to drop those nuggets when I do lectures like that, to kind of show people the type of archaeology that's out there that correlates with the biblical narrative that a lot of people are unaware of, right? So when people say, oh, the Tower of Babel is fake and that's a myth, and it's like, well, no, it's not. It's not fake. It's not the myth. And we have the Tower of Babel stele that gives the dimensions where it was at, and we still have the foundational pieces there as well. So it was actually real edifice, okay? So you can go back and check out the lecture, but pretty much the point of that lecture was trying to figure out if El Shaddai, if Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and if El Elyon is three of a kind or one and the same. Are these three different entities? Is this all the same entity, you know, just wearing a different mask? Trying to understand what's going on there, right? And what I wanted to do with part 1 was just lay down a foundation and give y'all some background before I go into the meat and potatoes, starting with Moshe. You know what I'm saying? It ended off with the exile. So we try to keep everything pre-exilic, okay? Ended off with the exile, you know what I'm saying? But part 2 is going to be fire. I'm telling you, if you like part 1, I'm going to dial it up like 10, 20, 100 for part 2. Now, here's the deal. So being that this got so much acclaim, this lecture got so much acclaim, Rodney, part 2 will be done next Saturday, not this Sabbath, not this Saturday, next Saturday. Okay. I'll give you the date for that. Next Saturday is the 23rd. Okay. November 23rd. So here's the deal. So with that particular lecture, because it was so good, part 2, I'm going to release because again, HEA, there's some issues there as far as the internet is concerned. So I cannot live stream it. In good quality. Only way it could be live stream is through my cell phone via Facebook Live, but I don't like to put my live streams on there. So what I'm going to do is record it just like I did for last Sabbath. And I'm going to do some editing, you know, especially some parts of the screen that you can't see. So going forward, what I'm going to do is if there's like a file that I have on the screen, a document, a book or whatever, I'm actually going to go back and edit it And that way I could put it on the screen so you can actually see it, because sometimes when you're looking at the lecture, or live stream, you can't read what I'm reading, right? You can't see what I'm seeing. So that's what I did when I released the last video, and a lot of people, was grateful for that. But because part 2 is going to be so big, and I'm trying to wrap it up this weekend, so that way I can coast through next week and just present it on Saturday. I'm gonna make it a Patreon exclusive, man. I'm gonna make it a Patreon exclusive. Now, if y'all want me to release it publicly, if we can get 5 new Patreon pledges between now and next Saturday, then what we'll do is that we'll release it to Patreon for a couple of days exclusively, and then we'll open the video up publicly. All right. So that's up to y'all. If y'all want to contribute, y'all want to, pledge, so that way we can garner more resources to go through more community things that we're doing. I'm going to explain some of that shortly. Definitely, we can get 5 more Patreon pledges between now and next Saturday. I mean, we will be forever grateful for that, and we'll be more than happy to put out a high quality video with part 2 of the lecture entitled El Shaddai, Yod He Wav He, El Elyon, 3 of a kind, or 1 and the same, right? And again, I'm telling you, part 2 is turned up. So those of you who are in the Atlanta area, if y'all can come out to HCA, 4419 Elmdale Drive, Tucker, GA, 384, on November 23rd at 1 p.m. And I think I'll probably start speaking on like 2:30 p.m. Man, you're in for a treat, man, because you get to see it live. You get to ask your questions and everything like that. And that would probably be the best way if you want to get it live, because I can't live stream. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, I'll put it out exclusively for the Patreon. But if we can get 5 pledges between now and next Sabbath or next Saturday, then after 3 days on Patreon exclusive, then we'll release it out to the public. All right, because I want to continue to give something special to the Patreon subscribers, because they are constantly and consistently supporting the ministry and the endeavors that we're engaged in, right? So shout out to my Patreon subscribers, as well as everybody else who donates, shares the video, keeps us in our prayers, etc. So that's part 2. And again, if y'all really want it, I'm telling you, it's crazy, man. If y'all really want it, you know what I'm saying? Let's get those 5 pledges, family. You know what I'm saying? We greatly appreciate that in advance, all right? Because I know y'all gonna look out, all right? So with that being said, I know there's a lot of stuff in there that probably made some people like, okay, threw some people back, because some of them didn't really understand what the premise was, and they wasn't really getting it. But like I said, it's a lot of information. But if you take your time and go through it, and you go back and verify everything that I said internally and validate it externally, you'll see that there's merit to what I'm presenting. And again, like I showed y'all, from how archaeologists, historians do, they create a narrative based on the data. And that's what I did. I created a narrative based on the data to try to give y'all some more keen insight into the biblical text and to understand its place within the ancient Near Eastern context. All right. Which is extremely important, and try to solve this mystery that through textual criticism seems like Yod He Wav He is a separate deity from El Shaddai, right? Or El, you feel me? Yeah, Dimitri. I mean, for a lot of people as well, especially there, they came afterwards and was telling me like, man, yo, that Tower of Babel stele was fire. Like, I didn't know nothing about it. And that's what I keep doing. I keep liking to bring that type of information out. Shout out to Kadara Israel, Chris Shakor, Yahuwah in the building. Lovely LD. What's going on? Appreciate y'all for joining in. Don Terry, what's going on? Yep. Zion Lex is debating Rob Warren. I think he's doing it this Friday coming up. Okay. If y'all missed it, go to Sinetta TV or Black News 102 and check out the Zion Lex versus Rob Warren video. Okay. All right. So, when y'all see part 2 is going to pretty much help to reconcile the things that I laid out in part 1. I mean, we going in, man. I'm talking about Moshe and how Yod He Wav He was delegated to a local deity for a reason at Mount Sinai, Seir, right? Teman, that region is where Yod He Wav He was at. How Yod He Wav He went to war with the Elohim of Misraim, and through that gained the momentum from bringing the children of Israel out through the wilderness for 40 years to prepare them for war and to bring them into the land in order for them to conquer the land. Because remember, I told you El Shaddai. Shaddai means from the root word Shaddai, which means to deal violently with. to despoil, to obstruct. It's deep. I'm telling you, man. Christians, they romanticize that word Shaddai. Go look it up for yourself. Check it out. Check it out for yourself and see what it means, man. So with that said, you know, when you see part 2, we're going to talk about how Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh was enthroned. Okay. Who the angel of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is. This connection to the title El Elyon and to the title El Shaddai, the deity El Shaddai. How is it connected to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh? Or are they even connected? Are they two separate deities? Are they one and the same? You're going to find out, man. We're going to go do some real stuff. I got so many notes that I added. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, I can't pull all of this out. And I don't want to do a part 3. If I have to do a part 3, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to just put everything in it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to try to cut some of this stuff out to make part 2 coherent and allow it to flow without going beyond an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? And then leave the rest for you to research, right? Give you some more points of reference for you to research. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, man, this thing is deep, man. And we have to know this information. And knowing this information, you be better equipped to defend your point of view and your vantage point in regards to your Israelite identity and culture, and as well as being able to see where the biblical narrative fits within the ancient Near Eastern context, right? And that's extremely important. Shout out to the house of Kefa in the building. Shout out to Donnell Jones. Shalom. All right. So I'm telling you, man, let's get those patrons, man. 5 pledges between now and next Saturday, and we give it out to everybody. All right. So with that being said, let's transition forward. So it's interesting because, you know, I'm really at the forefront and breaking ground of using this terminology of ancient pre-exilic Israelite culture. And I tell people that's what I engage in. That's what I'm reconstructing and restoring. That's what I'm applying. That's what I teach from, you know what I'm saying? And I show people that it's actually an African spiritual system, because that's pretty much what it is. And let people know that that is the actual culture of the Israelites before they got put into exile and amalgamated that culture elsewhere. Right now, you see there's a lot of similarities in regards to Canaanite culture and Canaanite mythology, and just overall Canaanite culture, because the Israelites, when they had exited out, they lived amongst the Canaanites in the book of Judges and the beginning of the book of 1 Samuel. They lived among the Canaanites, right? So a lot of things that they had picked up because they were disconnected when they went into, their forefathers went into Mizraim, and when they exited out, crossed over to Jordan and, you know, did a couple of sieges, and the rest of it was a creeping conquest, you know what I'm saying, over a period of time, and then infiltration, settlement. And then after the end of the Bronze Age, the rise of the Philistines coming into the coastal plains and buffering the Israelites to the side and trying to advance into their territory, which is the central countryside. They decided that they wanted to become a coalition with a king to represent them and go to war against the Philistines, instead of letting their patron deity work through them and get them the victory. And after the monarchy was established, you see a lot of interesting things happen with Saul. He gets disqualified. Dawid comes on the scene. And then after Dawid is able to subdue all the surrounding nations, that's when the epics of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is being sung or praised in the Psalms, and shows his enthronement as El Elyon after the defeat of the and submission of the neighboring nations, right? So again, I'll get a little bit more into that when we transition to part 2. But it seems like there's some kind of stigma or some kind of fear, uncertainty, some kind of murkiness when it comes to reconstructing and restoring ancient pre-exilic Israelite culture. It's like people are afraid of that. And I'm like, yo, it's in the text. How can you be afraid of something in the text? Shout out to Sedaria Halliburton in the building. Tekia, Israel, Shalom, what's going on? How can you be afraid of what's in the text, but you call yourself an Israelite? Yo, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I made a post, right? Maybe I think it's like about 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago. I posted it in the community section on YouTube. It's also, I posted it on Facebook, right? And it had to do with the ancient pre-exilic Israelite custom of repentance. Okay, this is referenced in 1 Samuel chapter 7. So before the Israelites can actually go and win the war against their enemies, they've already intertwined themselves with other deities that is not their patron deity. So Samuel commences to tell them that, yo, y'all need to repent before we can go to war. Otherwise, your patron deity will not be with you. You know why? Because you're violating the contract and you're trying to disconnect yourself from the initiator of the contract and engage in a contract unlawfully with another deity. And by doing that, you cannot win because now that deity can empower their peoples to overcome you because your deity is not providing the protection over you, right? So what did he do with them in order for them to repent or to turn so that way they can win the favor of their patron deity and win the war? We see earlier in Joshua, in order for the Israelites to cross over the Jordan and siege Jericho and do everything they were doing, they had to first be circumcised, which means they had missed something in the covenant terms and conditions that if they did not fulfill, they would not be given victory. Just like when Achan, he kept a portion of the booty for himself, and that sin spread across all of Israel because he was not supposed to do that. Now we see a situation where we get insight peering into ancient pre-Exilic Israelite custom that we no longer do today. That custom is three steps to that formula. Number one, they gathered water and poured out a libation. After pouring out the libation, they fasted. And after they fasted, then they confessed their guilt. The patron deity forgave them and empowered them to go and get the victory. What am I saying here? What I'm saying is this is something that is encapsulated in the text. Let me read it for y'all, because some people might say, oh, Divine, you making that up, you bugging out. Okay, let me read it for y'all. 1 Samuel chapter 7. Let's get it. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the problem is, why so many people is just like, maybe because they don't understand, but it's crazy because I'm reading it right from the text. Or maybe because, you know, when they see that it has similarities with like West African culture, like they bug out. But I'm like, nah, the preservation of your Israelite culture is deposited within, preserved within West Africa. If you don't study West Africa, you're not going to have a living example of how the statute, laws, commandments, and customs were actually carried out by the Israelites. And I tell people, if you cannot identify the ancient pre-Exilic Israelite customs and the way halakha, how they explicitly do the implicit things within Torah, and that develops over time, if you cannot find that in West Africa, because that's where you said y'all came from, right? Y'all said we were Hebrews in West Africa, and we romanticized that and all of that. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna get into that. I was gonna do it in a further lecture, but I'm gonna save it for a debate. I got about 3 people that want to debate me on that and say, how are y'all claiming to be Israelites? And I'm saying, see, the issue is you're missing a West African element or component that I actually have encapsulated in what I teach. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what I'm going to disseminate to the public because I have so much data that I'm sitting on in regards to that. I got a lot of data. And what I'm doing now is I'm getting interviews with people that are in the field doing different things. So I have a lot that I'm reserving little by little, and I'm accumulating all of this data and information. So when I get in a debate, I can unleash it. But none of this takes away from the fact that the ancient pre-Exilic Israelite culture is a African spiritual system. It is an African spiritual system. And Africa, again, when we say the term Africa, that's an anachronism, right? Because that term did not exist during that period of time when the Israelites was on the scene in Iron Age 1, Iron Age 2. But we're talking about the landmass, the continental landmass that we call today, that has a nomenclature today called Africa. And then being on the African plate, which we see is, you had the Dead Sea transform and onto the west side of the Dead Sea transform. That's your Canaan. And that was heavily influenced by Canaanites and heavily influenced by who? Mizraim, Egypt. And then you have some elements of Syria, which is part of the Levant, and Mesopotamia there as well. But the Israelites, if you continue to look into it, their ancient pre-Exilic culture aligns a lot with what we see on the continental mass of Africa. I think people are afraid of that. And when you start to bring out these similarities without even calling a spade, people say, oh, that's idolatry. I had somebody tell me today on a post that 1 Samuel chapter 7 is idolatry. I'm like, what? Yo, you cannot make this stuff up, family. You just cannot make this stuff up. But it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. All I'm saying is, shout out to Taki Cochran. Thank you so much, sis, for your consistent support of this ministry. I appreciate that. Okay, I'll go back and see what y'all saying. Shout out to Dylan McCormack in the building. What's going on, bro? Assad, Tina Fields, G Deb, LD Yasharala, Vanessa Satterwhite. What's going on? Reckless Animosity, Mark Moore, Shalom. All right, I didn't forget about you, Mark. Cheryl. All right, so Chris Brownson. Here we go. We'll get to that. Deroyahu Ben Dora. So let's go ahead and read this real quick, man. Let's read this, all right? 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. And Samuel said to all the house of Israel, if you are returning to the Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh with all your heart, then put away the foreign gods and the Ashtaroth from among you and direct your heart to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. So if you're going to turn away today, if you're going to return to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh with all your heart, and you have the intention of putting away any foreign deities, anything else that you've turned into an idol, any other powers that you indirectly have been serving. And he gives an example here, which are the Asherah from among you, and also Baal is called here. Because again, when you look at the scriptures in Exodus chapter 20, what we call the 10 Commandments, the text says, Peneh, do not put any of these powers before the face of Yah, that he has to compete with these other powers, right? Such as your Asherah poles. They cannot be situated in a certain location because that will cause that Asherah pole to compete with the things that are done in the temple. So it must be pushed a little bit further out. It's interesting, but we're not going to get into that today. Let's stick with this. And when you do this and direct your heart towards Yah to serve him only, are y'all only serving Yah? How could this be idolatry, what I'm teaching y'all, when I'm saying all of this is being done unto Yah? How in the world is this idolatry? I don't understand, but okay. And he will deliver you out of the hands of the Philistines. So if you're looking for some form of deliverance from some kind of secular situation, circumstance, are you following this formula? But let's keep going. So the people of Israel put away their Baals and their Asheroth, and they serve Yah only. Then Samuel gathered all Israel Mizpah, and I will pray to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh for you. So what they did was they put away these Baals and they put away these Asherah. They purged themselves of these things. Okay? They removed it from out of their homes, their households. They removed it from out of their minds, out of their heart. They removed these things. And they served Yah only. So they went back to Shemot chapter 20. But look at this. It keeps going. So they gathered at Mizpah. So once you purge from these foreign deities and make a decision to serve Yah only, that's not enough. There's a procedure that comes after that. That's just the prerequisite. Let's keep going. So they gathered at Mizpah and drew water and poured it out before Yah and fasted on that day and said, there we have sinned against Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and Samuel judged the people of Israel at Mizpah. Did you hear what I said? So first the word came to them, letting them know, if you're going to get victory from these enemies, you have to turn away from these other foreign gods, choose to serve Yah only, and then you will be delivered. So what did they do right after that? They removed or put away these other foreign deities. They served Yah only. How? By keeping the statute, laws, and commandments. And then he gathered them to perform a ritual before the deity to be accepted by the deity, so the deity then can give them the victory. So a water libation was poured, and that was representative that because our body is mostly made up of water, and water can be called like, the thing that is necessary for sustenance and for you to live and to thrive and whatever. When you're doing a water libation and pouring it out unto the deity, that means you're pouring it toward the deity. You are symbolizing that you are pouring your soul out to this deity. So now the deity can come in and take over. So the deity can come in and now set its abode in your leb or in your heart. And then once you do that, you must fast so that process can take place, and then confess by admitting that you have turned from Yah. And when you do this, word will get out. And when your enemy comes to rise up against you, you will have the victory. See, the problem is we've been spooked out about these pre-exilic practices, that we look at them, we demonize them, and we don't want to re-implement it back into our culture. But you said that you're an Israelite. How? And you're not doing these things. Thank you, Lovely D, for the donation. I greatly appreciate that. Shout out to Dre D in the building. What's going on? Malakaya, Shalom. What's going on? The Pretty Issue. What's going on, sis? How you doing? Jamali Lewis. What's up? Tina Fields, I see your question. Please hold that to the end of the session, or I think you emailed me, and I think you left a comment too as well. I have some of my moderators or admin share that with me, so I can go back to that and check that out. All right. So Stacks 2296, I need 4 more of y'all to sign up for Patreon and get this information out to everyone who needs to hear it. Let's go, y'all. Thank you so much, man. Stacks. Yeah, we need 4 more Patreons, man. If we can get 4 more Patreons, we'll be in business, and I can give y'all that part too, which is going to be crazy, man. Y'all got to see where Yod-Heh-Wav is fighting Dagon. He fights Dagon. He fights Baal. He also fights the Leviathan or Yam, which is the sea monster that represents Leviathan. This is all in the Psalms. Wars going on. I'm going to show you passages that talk about these wars going on in the heavenly realm. Those of you who subscribe to the New Testament, you have a part in the book of Revelation that says there was a war in heaven. People looking at it like, oh, how they fighting it? But that's those of y'all who subscribe to the New Testament, those of you messianic or whatever, y'all subscribe to the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation to me is not prime authority because it's the least attested book in all of the New Testament. It has good information, has good knowledge. I get everything that I need simply from the book of Matthew, right? And the rest of the text is all historical and good insight information that if we implement it correctly, we can empower ourselves further in this walk, especially in captivity, okay? But point that I'm trying to make is the text in the book of Revelation says there was a war in heaven. Michael was fighting in the heavenly realm. So when I go into this and I tell you that the deities are fighting in the heavenly realm, it's like people are like, oh, where did that come from? And I show them in the text to say, yo, this in the Bible. There's a war. They fighting. But I'm going to show you more of that when we get into part 2. I don't want to spoil it now. Shout out to God Trouble McKinney. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that, my brother. I'm telling y'all, I don't know if you're going to be ready for this, man. And the only way that you can give up your power, because Yod-Heh-Wav did not just claim a piece of land that he puts the people on. He claimed the people. The people. Forget the land, that wherever the people are there, he would abide with his people. So you'll see that the only way that any kind of enemy can have victory over you is if you follow the customs of the other nations. If you follow the things that they do, which is detestable before the Most High. If you forsake that and remove yourself from that and purge yourself from that, you will see more victory in your life. And all I'm trying to do is give you a formula to enact this thing by showing you what the text says. It's very clear. So I'm not making this up. I'm not adding anything. I'm showing you what most of us have overlooked and have rejected to implement today and wonder why we having issues today. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to Outside of Cube in the building. What's going on? Appreciate you for joining in again. How can we do that when you're pushing Jesus and that's not accurate, brother? I'm pushing Jesus? What? What is you talking about? Where am I pushing Jesus? I don't understand. But you trolling because you troll sometimes. But hey, like I said, Chris Brownson, you're welcome to get on the panel as soon as I'm done going through the things that I'm talking about. You're welcome to join the panel and voice your grievances and let's hash it out. Very simple. All right. So anyway, Kendrick, yes. And again, Kendrick, this is going to be part of the lecture where I talk about this power that Daniel encountered that said, Daniel, your prayers was heard from the day that you said it, the moment that you said it, but I had to fight against the Prince of Persia. And then later on, he said, after I'm done with the Prince of Persia, I got to fight against the Prince of the Greeks. I got to fight against this deity, Yvonne. I got to fight against them. What? Yeah. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Shout out to Dylan McCormack. Thank you for the donation, my brother. I greatly appreciate that. So it's real. This real. And all I'm trying to do is put everything within context. You understand what I'm saying? So y'all can feed on the information and get closer to the Most High, because now you are reenacting the same customs that your forefathers did, which was accepted by Yah and now could be accepted by you. This doesn't nullify those of you who are messianics, because you can cast lots today. The apostles casted lots in Acts chapter 1. Why are they doing that? That's a pre-exilic Israelite custom. Why are they casting lots? After they prayed. It's real. Because after you pray, and again, that's a formulaic way of praying. I'm going to get into that in a second. After you pray, there's other things that need to be coupled with that prayer in order for something to take place. A lot of times we have lost that. And because we have lost that, a lot of times we have struggles and difficulties in our walk with the Most High. All I'm trying to do is reconstruct and restore it, give it back to you, see if it works. Try it out, see if it works. And that's why I say the objective of prayer is to put an appeal before the patron deity, the Most High, regarding a fate that is already playing out, that is a consequence of some action. And if you don't understand how this works in the court of law, then you're really going to be disconnected from how this is supposed to work. How you're supposed to motion for an appeal. To put the appeal has to be formulated properly before the deity, so the deity can honor that appeal and intervene. If you have situations where the deity is not intervening, that means you have something's wrong with your appeal. Go back and restructure your appeal. With me, I've learned that. I say, okay, let me do it the formulaic way, and it works. Repeatable results. And then sometimes it doesn't work because there's different motions of appeals that you have to put forth the deity depending upon the circumstances and situations. And you should always be able to point somewhere in the text as a point of reference to hold the deity to that. Okay. We're going to do the lecture on prayer. I know y'all want to get into prayer and deal with prayer. We're going to get into prayer. Okay, I'm going to show y'all how to formulate this appeal. And after I show you how to formulate this appeal, I'm going to show you how it correlates in a court of law. My brother Brian, I may source him, you know what I'm saying, to assist me with that, because that's his area of expertise in the secular realm. But bottom line, like I'm saying, is you'll see that this is repeatable. See, people pray and miss all the time and don't get no results. Why? And then you'll have some people that say to me, well, if your deity exists, have them make you have them make you a millionaire. And I tell them it don't work that way. And they say, yo, it should, because this deity is real. So I slow them down for a second and say, okay, hold on, slow down, hold your horses, slow down just for 1 second. I want to show you something. Let me show you something. So Jacob, or James, which is one of the apostles in the New Testament, Brit Hadashah, he says something very interesting in regards to prayer, which aligns, because remember, prayer just means to have intervention take place. That aligns with this data that we find in the Tanakh, especially ancient Pre-Exilic Israel. And he says something very peculiar that is very difficult for us to understand today, because we're under the influence of the deity Gad. I'm going to get into that in 1 second before we open up to the Q&A. So let's look at this. Jacob chapter 4 and verse 2 to 3. I'm going to show you something. I want to show you something very interesting if you're not already familiar with this, okay? Watch this. You desire and do not have, so you murder. So you want things that you don't have, so you do or you break, you commit a capital offense in order to obtain that. You covet and cannot obtain. You know why you can't get certain things? Because you coveting other people. Single people out there wanting a good man, good woman, and say, man, I need a good man, but you're covering your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's husband or your neighbor's lifestyle instead of carving the path and allowing a deity to lead you on your own journey. That's why you don't have it. Oh, I want a car, I need a car, but you're looking at your neighbor's car and say, that's nice, touching it, feeling it, wishing it was yours, and now you wonder why you can't get that same thing. Now, you can use that for inspiration and motivation, but there's a thin line between that and covetedness, because covetedness will cause you to do additional things outside of the will of the deity that we have listed in the mitzvot, that you would then violate in order to obtain these things. Just keep this in mind. So because they covet, you fight and quarrel because you are fighting and quarreling with the individual that has the things that you don't have, because you are, expressing yourself from a point of insecurity because you're not secure in your own journey, your own lane, your own walk. And because you don't have that, you pick fights and quarrel with those that do have the things that you want. Therefore, you are coveting, and that is why you cannot obtain these things. It's not that deep, family. It's very simple. It's laid out clear and plain. You do not have because you do not ask. Keyword, look up that word ask. But look at this. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. This is deep because the question is going to be so divine. How do I enact this formula so I could get a repeatable process based on the appeal structure in order for me to receive certain things? How does that work? Well, there's a lot of purging that needs to go on. And if you're not doing the prerequisites, you cannot expect to get something from the deity. It doesn't work like that. The deity gives you wealth, if you want to call it wealth, as a byproduct of that halakha with the deity. That is the primary goal, to equip you so you can complete your assignment, whatever that assignment is. That's the intent. That's the purpose. And this is when you do your own form of divination, because prayer is divination. Casting lots is divination. There's other forms of divination that's in the text that was commonly practiced amongst the people. When you do these things, in order for you to speak and commune with the deity, you can't just show up and just ask for things just because you want it and you feel that you're entitled to it. You can't just run up in a courtroom and run up to the judge and ask the judge for something without going through the proper procedure before the judge can hear your case. Y'all trying to cut through the procedure and just try to go right through. People say, oh, but Jesus did this and Jesus did that. But still, if you go here and look in the book of James, they're still keeping with the formula. He understands that the reason why people don't have things is because they want to take whatever they're asking for to spend it on pleasures or passions that is not in alignment with what can be granted primarily by the deity. The deity can give things as a byproduct, and that's why the example of Shlomo, Solomon is in the text. He asked for hokmah, for wisdom, that we see in Proverbs chapter 8. And as a byproduct of asking for wisdom, he was given riches and wealth. That is a cultural insight on how to obtain wealth. It is not to pursue it. The text says, he that have an evil eye hasteth to be rich. Because they don't understand all the things that's going to befall them from hastily trying to get rich. And you think because you can pray about it and ask for it and not go through the proper procedure that you're just going to receive it just like that and everything's going to be okay. A lot of y'all are obtaining wealth the wrong way, and you're attributing it to the patron deity of Israel, but you're actually being rewarded by a deity called Gad. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Okay, let me step back because I know this might be a little heavy for some people. So I'm going to step back. All right, I'm going to step back. All right, let's see who else joined the chat. Shout out to the Black Av in the building, Israel, witness and servant. Benjamin Israel, what's going on? Let me see. For his glory, 2419. Shalom, royalty princess. I think I said what's up to you already. Sis Gabrielle, Shal Yahawada in the building. What's going on? Virtue, shalom. What's going on, my brother? All right. So we're gonna get into the fortune guide. I'm gonna get into the fortune guide with y'all. Okay. Trying to save that for last, but get into the fortune guide. The fortune guide, however, will be more than happy to reward you with wealth and good fortune. Fortune guide would do that. But then you're going to be paying tribute to that deity and be wondering why, with this fortune, you're still having things that's not working out or going along or in alignment with the things that you see take place in the narrative. Okay. All right. This is deep. This is deep. And I know this is news for some of y'all, and that's fine. Y'all will be okay. Y'all will be fine. Shout out to Minister Maccabi in the building. All right. And I'm saying this to say, we got to learn how to reenact these customs so we can fulfill the prerequisites, so we can bring our appeal before the patron deity and for him to honor it. See, this Judeo-Christian, Western Christian, Judeo-Christian environment that we're in, it teaches you the wrong way to access the deity. You don't even access the deity with respect. Even when people say that Yeshua is the high priest, he's the high priest. They say, oh, he's the high priest, but the high priest still has duties to perform. And in order for the high priest to deal with you, you got to fulfill certain procedures and prerequisites before you can even show up to the priest. So the priest can then offer something unto the patron deity. This is deep. Y'all still trying to use this as a fast way to get what you want. Y'all don't have the or built for the perseverance. And I'm not saying all of y'all. I'm saying the ones that are trying to take the microwave shortcut approach to getting and obtaining things, so that way they can get this fortune, so they can simply spend it on their passions. You'll be able to see it when a person gets wealth as a byproduct of their walk, because the wealth is an asset that you utilize to invest, to allow you to continue to push forward in this walk with the patron deity. You'll see what they spend their funds on. But you'll see those who think they're being rewarded by the patron deity have not gone through the proper prerequisites, have not gone through the proper procedures, and they think that what they're getting is from the patron deity. But we see yet when they get it, what they spend that asset on, to things that don't bear no fruit. You can be able to distinguish between the two. This is something that I had to learn. I wasn't taught this. I had to learn this. So Yah's opened up more doors for me now because I've learned this and I have enacted this thing so that I'm living it. Y'all see. Y'all see. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you have a divine assignment and you are not walking that divine assignment, or you are only walking that assignment if you can get a reward, then you're appealing to a different judge. And that's the God of fortune, Baal Gad. You don't even know who Baal Gad is, but we're going to get into Baal Gad. Let's get into Baal Gad, okay? And let's get into, in the text where, in Yeshayahu 65:11, where it talks about this deity called fortune. It's interesting. But the way it's styled and the way it's written, a lot of scholars would say, well, that's not really saying that that's a personification of fortune, but it's used as a, as I would say, as a way of contrasting what the Israelites were chasing from Babylon, contrasted to what Yah was giving them. And this is important because I need to bring this out so you can see and understand what I'm saying. Again, like I said, yeah, Taki Cochran, that's the prosperity gospel. A prosperity gospel, right? That's who rewards them, because that's their gospel is founded on a God of fortune, which is an ancient Canaanite Semitic deity that people worship. Yeshua says, you know not who you worship. They worship in another deity, and that deity is rewarding you. And if that's how you want to live it, that's fine. If you choose not to identify with the Israelite culture and you operate outside of that, then whatever you do with the God of fortune is between you and the God of fortune. Hey, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's on you. But if you identify as an Israelite, you have to be very careful. You got to be very careful, because if you're not doing this thing right, then you'll be rewarded wrongly. And you think because you're getting, money or assets or opportunities, you think it's because you're doing the right thing with the Creator. Text said clearly, have you turned away and put away these foreign gods? Have you poured out your libation to show the deity that you're willing to pour and empty yourself out so the deity can come in and abide? Are you fasting during that process that you're emptying yourself? Because what the fast does, it puts your flesh under subjection to receive the divine, I would say, divine intervention. And then are you confessing as a result of that? So that way you're fully cleansed and detox, so you can get these victories that are lined up for you to win. So that way the deity, his shame, his name, his character is on the line. And therefore people will see his character in you. That is what people are drawn to, that light. Okay. All right. So like I said, I'm going to hold off the prayer thing for y'all for another time. Another time I'll hold that out for y'all. But like I said, if y'all in the building, hit the thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, hit subscribe if you're brand new, because we going like this all the time. All right, we going like this all the time. All right, so look, let's talk about this deity, right? I'm going to bring up this deity for you. Let's go ahead and read it. We're going to get our first reference to this deity. All right. So now we go to Joshua 11:16. And it says, so Joshua took all that land, the hill country, and all the Negev, and all the land of Goshen, and the lowland, and the Arabah, and the hill country of Israel, and its lowland, from Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir, as far as Baal Gad, and the valley of Lebanon, below Mount Hermon. And he captured all their kings and struck them and put them to death. So here we have our reference to Baal Gad, which is now a toponym, okay, which is derived from the deity that resided there, okay? That's why the place was called Baal Gad. Baal Gad is the deity that provides fortune for the Canaanites that pursue him. It's interesting because we see a situation in the text, for those of you who subscribe to the New Testament, that says you cannot serve the Most High, you cannot serve Mammon. Well, yeah, because if you're serving Mammon, you're giving worship to this deity called Baal Gad, and therefore he will straightly reward you without any prerequisite. So people say, yo, I'm going to take the fast cut way, and not understand that there's so many traps that's going to snare you in the process. And people will see it, and you will recognize it yourself, that say, hey, why am I getting this money? All these things that happen to me, I don't understand what's going on. Because you don't even know how to deal with that deity properly. So that deity is just having fun with you. I'm just speaking from the ancient Near Eastern thought and the way that their vantage point perceived how these things took place, that you can reconstruct and restore today if you understand the context. So Baal Gad is important, but let's go further. Let's go further. Let's go to Isaiah 65:11. All right. Watch this. Watch this. Yeah, watch this. I'll stick there. I was going to go up for context, but y'all can read the whole chapter if you want. Isaiah 65:11 says this. Listen. But you who forsake Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, you know, when Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh told them to forsake, to remove those other foreign deities, now they're removing Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. They're forsaking Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. He said, who forget my holy mountain, who set a table for fortune and fill cups of mixed wine for destiny, I will destine you to the sword, and all of you shall bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, you did not answer. When I spoke, you did not listen. But you did what was evil in my eyes and chose what I did not delight in. Slow down. Slow down. Those of you out there who want to get money, and again, when you understand like being in the streets, because I had my small stint in the streets, you understand that the goal is to chase money. Comes with that power and sex and women and cars and jewelry and popularity. When you chase money, when you get money, because when you come from an environment in the hood where children don't have their father, so you have people that are fatherless, you have orphans, don't even have both parents, and they're growing up in the hood and they don't have a family structure. Remember when I told y'all what Torah really means, that instruction comes from the mother, so you can be cultivated within the boundaries of protection and provision of the father. And if you don't have the mother in her rightful place, or the father there creating the boundary, and when you step outside the boundary, you get disciplined to operate back within the boundary so you can receive his protection and his provision, that now when you don't understand these things as it pertains to the patron deity, now you are removing yourself from understanding how this thing works. So now in the hood, you have a situation where these kids is out there wilding, because on TV, they show us the image that you are a consumer, not a producer. And because you don't have an identity, we want you to idolize the brands and the things of the other nations around you, not your own. So you can go lower and lower and they can get higher and higher. You start to lose yourself in the process from chasing money, and the God of fortune will give it to you. So when you see these celebrities, they go and they say, I want to thank God. Yeah, because they made compromises that violates the statute, laws, and commandments. Therefore, the God that's rewarding them is not Yod Hey Wav Hey. And they need to keep it a buck with y'all. But unless you know people on the inside, which I do know some people on the inside, I share some stuff. And it's because they don't come out with a written statement. I can't say this definitively, because I have to point it to a primary source, which you do have some artists that come out and say this, but they got to really validate it, right? I'm just giving you some insight on how this thing works. So the people had forsook Yod Hey Wav Hey. They forgot his set apart mountain where he dwelled and where he set up shop. And they set a table, meaning that they made sacrifices for fortune. The term there, we're going to look at it. The term there, what we see for fortune, is lagad, to or towards God, G-A-D. That's who they set a table on behalf of. Okay, so give me one moment, family. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So what I'm saying is, when you don't understand these things, you don't know what you're intertwining yourself with. And this is why when we go back to pre-exilic Israelite culture and understand what we see here in the text, we see how it applies. So they forgot the Most High, they forsook him and forgot. And as a result, they set a table for fortune. Set a table for fortune. And who fill cups with mixed wine for destiny. That's interesting. And then as a result of that going place, he says, I will destine you to the sword. All of you shall bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, you did not answer. When I spoke, you did not listen, but you did what was evil in my eyes and chose what I did not delight in. So when we see Yaakov in chapter 4, verse 2, talking about the things that people do as far as murder, because they can't get things and they covet in, they fight and quarrel over it, and you have not because you ask not. And the reason why, because when you ask for things to fulfill your passions, which is a form of vile evil in the eyes of Yah, because that is not what he rewards, but Gad will reward that. But Gad in particular will reward that. He'll reward that. But don't give to attribute what you're getting to Yod-Heh-Wav, and you have not gone through the process, the proper process. You need to identify and understand what is going on here. And a lot of us, because we don't understand these things, sometimes the walk gets shaky because people are not really breaking these things down to the family. So when I get this information, I share it because I want the family to understand it, so that way y'all can be empowered in your walk. And this is extremely important. And we got to continuously bring this thing out. I'm just looking to see what y'all saying in the chat. So Chris Brownson, you are welcome to join the panel. Let me know if you're going to join the panel. Shout out to Truth Seeker in the building. Do you want to join the channel? If you want to join the channel, get on the panel. Let me know. It's that simple. I mean, all the stuff you doing, I don't understand what you're doing that for. It's not that serious, man. Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate that. All right. Because this stuff is just distracting. Shout out to Get Wise in the building. All right. John Bertrand in the building. So with that being said, there's several articles, not a lot written on the deity Gad, but there's one particular academic article I'll bring out another time and looking into y'all, where they attribute Gad as being an attribute of El. Right. And they bring up Isaiah 65:11 and so forth. They bring up Joshua as well, and they make a case for that. And I say that a case can be made for that. And also it could be the personification of a deity, because when Hellenism came on the scene, they attributed that deity to Fortuna, the Latin Fortuna or Romana Fortuna, and Tyche, if I'm saying it right, TK, Tyche, which is a Greek deity or goddess of fortune. Because when the Greeks came in, they identified this Canaanite deity, and what they did was they synchronized it. So now that deity was able to cross over into these other peoples and now be brought into the world of Hellenism, because that's what Hellenism did. It brought all the indigenous peoples under the auspices of what? Of the Greeks, philosophy and culture and language. Steep. Shout out to Seeking the Truth Ministry. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Shout out to my brother Sam Bone in the building. What's going on? So with that being said, if y'all don't understand this information from the Tanakh, then if you proceed into the Brit Hadashah, the so-called New Testament, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be lost on. You're going to be lost. You know, you heard things said, well, it's through prayer and fasting. This is why this thing didn't come out. You know, you'll remember that. Through prayer and fasting. Well, how do you properly pray, and why fast? Why we're fasting? Oh, we're fasting because we cleaved unto another deity, a foreign god. So we must fast after the libation and confess in order to be empowered, in order to get rid of certain spiritual influences that's in your life, or what people call strongholds that's captivating you. Christians took this thing, and not all Christians, right? But some Christians have taken this thing and twisted it all up and got our people lost, man. Have them void of any kind of power or authority. Got them all in misalignment with the Creator, the patron deity of Israel. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. All right. Shout out to Del H in the building. What's going on? Matayahu Ben Israel. What's going on? Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying the content so far. Hit the thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, hit subscribe. Share this video everywhere. If you're interested in how you can contribute or donate to this ministry, you can do so by looking there on the screen. You'll see there where it says, here's how you can support this ministry, and or you can do a super chat donation. We greatly appreciate all of that, right? So now let me fast forward. Let me step away from that for a second. I know y'all was enjoying that. I'm gonna leave it there for a second. Let me step away for a second. Let me transition a couple more things I want to talk about. Then let me open it up for a few questions so I can answer it for you guys before we hit our time. Let me see where we at on time. Hour and 10 minutes. So we got 50 minutes left. All right. So let me get through the rest of the stuff and we go into that. All right. All right. So what I want to transition to next Tuesday, I will be representing Infinity Charter Schools, which has been initiated by Sister Gia Moriah, also known as Dr. Eccles. You know, the reason why I support her endeavor is because she wants to create a cultural-based, I would say cultural-based, people say it's faith-based, charter school to release to grade 6 to 12 nationally with accreditation for free. So you have a sister that's in our community that is fostering a charter school nationally to give customized curricula to your children to help strengthen their weaknesses and cultivate their strengths and be able to motivate and empower them to be culturally and some people say faith-based anchored, so that their vantage point in regards to society is to be a contributor and a producer, not a consumer and taker. So by the time they end with grade 12, they have their own businesses. They'll be their own entrepreneurs. They know how to plant their own gardens, right? They know how to manage their own money, their own funds. And at the same time, they'll be culturally anchored. So they won't be swayed by the things when they face into society. She wants to bring this forth and be able to cater this to the community and the public at large. So there is an advocacy that is taking place on Tuesday. And this is what I'm saying. When y'all donate and y'all support, you'll enable us to come out there and handle work. I will be representing Infinity Charter Schools. We will be going to Tyler Perry Studios out here in Atlanta. There's going to be a presidential debate, if I'm not mistaken. There'll be politicians there, reporters there, celebrities there, and Tyler Perry himself. And what I will be doing is advocating for the importance and the value of charter schools and how we should not be marginalized in regards to public schools. Because Georgia State is making it much more difficult for charter schools to thrive. There's a long history that goes all the way back to 1994, if you do your research. So I will be laying this information down to the news reporters to understand the unequivocal importance, value, and necessity of charter schools for our youth that are closing left and right because we're losing support for it. To get the same word past the reporters to the politician, to get the same words past the politicians to the celebrities, and ultimately, depending upon how things go, to Tyler Perry himself. So you can invest in something that comes directly from our community. See, when your end state is not centered around autonomy, you limit the capacity in which we can expand the awakening process. You get in the way because you have no end state, no end game. Over here, we have an end game. And while we're here, some people say we're in captivity. While you're in captivity, you're still sending your children to public school. Some of you homeschool your kids. That's great. But how about getting involved in a charter school from somebody out of your community, or the charter school with a customized curriculum that deals specifically with your child and keep them culturally anchored and grounded for free? You don't have to pay for anything. We out here on the front lines fighting. My entire interaction there will be recorded. You may see me on the news. We'll see what happens. So I'm not just sitting here talking to you in front of a camera. Anytime there's an opportunity for advocacy on behalf of our community to be proactive to get things done so y'all can benefit from, I'm there. So the people that's hating can say what they want to say. They not out here in these streets putting in this work. So I pray for y'all to find it in your leb, your heart, to support this endeavor. Support your brother. Keep me lifted up in your appeals before the Most High. And if y'all are in Atlanta, join me. I'm going to put the fly up right now. Join me if y'all in Atlanta. We have to show that there is a number of us that really want this thing to take place so our children can directly benefit. Are y'all in it for your children? Or are you in this for yourself? The only way for us to know is that when the opportunity is there, are y'all stepping foot in it and putting your hand to the plow? How y'all getting down in this walk, man? We need to know, family. We need to know. So let me go ahead and show it to you. I'm going to show you the flyer real quick. Hopefully you'll come out and support. Again, it's going to be at Tyler Perry Studios. It's going to be next Wednesday, the 20th. On the flyer, they have Tuesday. That's a typo they need to correct. But I'm going to bring it out and show it to y'all, because this is one of many things that we do. This is important because once we can get it in the hands of venture capitalists that'll be willing to invest in the youth, our community who's bringing this thing to the forefront, now we can be the light. Because the wealth that sinners obtain, that is laid forth for the righteous, we obtain that in order to do things that glorify the Creator, the Most High. We don't spend in our own lust and our own passions. It don't work like that. So once I get access to more politicians' ears, reporters, and mainstream well-known celebrities, the more resources can pour into our community so we can truly thrive. It's not going to erase the consequences of our forefathers' actions. It's going to give you, like my brother Brian Gaither says, breathing room to operate while you're still here. Not waiting on some kind of myth. Let me leave it alone. Because some of y'all just wait and see. Y'all don't even want to go and do the work. But for those of you who do want to do the work, who support KHM and know what we about, continue please to give us your support. All right. Let me bring this up. Shout out to Jordan Henry for the Patreon pledge. I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jordan. Again, we need 4 more. And with 4 more pledges, y'all get part 2 of that lecture, man. I know y'all will enjoy that. All right. So let me go ahead and show y'all this flyer real quick. Give me 1 second. Where's the flyer at? Hold on. Give me a second, family. Let me get this flyer for y'all. Where's this at? Oh, here it is. All right, let me show it to y'all. Hold on. I'm gonna show it to y'all in 1 second. Hold on, family. Give me 1 second. Let me put it up here so y'all can see it. All right, so here it is. Okay. Freedom Coalition for Charter Schools. Help us send a strong message to those who oppose charter schools. It says Tuesday, it should say Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We only plan to be there for 2 hours to make our voice heard and our point known. Tyler Perry Studios, 315 Deschler Street, Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310. Okay. Shuttle pickup location. So you can go here to Embassy Suites and get a shuttle to take you to the actual location. All right. I will be there at about 6 o'clock, 6:30. I'll be there around the time when it begins, all the way to 8:30. Now, also, I have 3 people that I'm scouting. as videographers. If you are a videographer in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and you want to make some money filming this experience, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I have a paid gig for any videographers that want to come out and help us film this experience, film KHM there, touching ground. All right. So if you want to make some money and you're a videographer or photographer, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. This is what we're doing on Wednesday, family. And I want y'all to see this, because if you're in the Atlanta area and you're watching this video and you are not there, then it shows that either one, maybe you have something else that, forces you not to go, which is a high priority. That's fine. But if you don't and you don't show up, it goes to show that you're just a keyboard or armchair Israelite. Because when we go to Jeremiah chapter 29, where it says that in order for the city to have peace, you have to intervene. This is how we start peace within our community, by cultivating the youth, by giving them an alternative to public schools, to give them better with charter schools, especially if we are pioneering it. We need your help, family. We need your support. We need you to show up so we can show out. Will you hearken unto the call? We'll see. We'll see how many people show up with me on those front lines to let our voice be heard, that charter schools need to stay because they are extremely beneficial to our children. And we can customize curriculums as we see fit and exceed any of the state, county, or city's expectations of us as a people. We can do it. But we need charter schools in order to get it done. All right? All right. Thank you so much, Taki Cochran. I appreciate that, sis. I mean, are y'all even talking about this? Shout out to VP Yeezy 2024 in the building. What's going on? Ace, what's up? Israel Witness, I said what's up to you already. Daweed Yakanan L, what's going on? Myron Henderson. Myron, well, according to the culture, that is the desire in the end times. Currently, anybody from the Gentile nations that want to cleave unto Israel, he desires for them to, devote themselves wholly and wholeheartedly to the Most High. But in the end times, the nations that have people that don't want to cleave unto Israel, that's a different story. That's eschatology that we can discuss at another time. All right. So, Shama, I already know you be down, bro. I know how you get down. Shout out to my brother G Deb in the building. What's going on? So we're going to make it happen for the children, man. Like I said, I don't like to go out there and brag about all the work that we're doing in the community. I'm talking about us setting up a municipality for our people in the unincorporated regions of the county. Having our own city. Greenhaven Initiative. Look it up. greenhaven-ga.org. I'm on the board of directors working to make these things happen. I need to know the people that want to come in and debate and argue. What are you doing in your community? I should make that a prerequisite before I debate anybody. What are you doing in your community? Show me what you're doing in your community. Because if you ain't doing nothing, you wasting my time. Okay. Facts by hearing and hearing by. Thank you, sis. I'm the same way. None of my children is in public school at all, or even public daycare. We don't get down like that. Not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying there's a better option. And we have them in the better option. It's a sacrifice, but it's worth it. Okay? All right. So let's transition, man. Like I said, we get it popping in KHM. If you're interested in joining KHM, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com so we can get you involved in similar activities in your city and leverage what we have, our resources, to support you in your endeavors in your city. KHM is a virtual movement, man. It's not a physical congregation. Culture, community, autonomy is the three tenets that is necessary for us to be set apart so we will not be afflicted when this secular realm is judged, and we could be received back unto our creator, the patron deity of Israel. That's the point. That's the purpose. That's the motivation and intent behind what we do. And we want to inspire all of y'all with that spark to get it popping. so you can get your machine going and you can get somewhere with a spark plug. But that's neither here nor there. All right. So let's transition, man. Let me see how much time we got left. Let me check the clock. Hold on. We got an hour and 24 minutes. All right. So let me step away for 1 second, family. I'll be right back. Okay. So we are back. Let's see. Shout out to Tim Lindley for the donation. I truly appreciate that. Family, if you're enjoying so far, hit the thumbs up button, hit subscribe if you're brand new, or if you haven't hit subscribe already, and share this video everywhere. We greatly appreciate that. Rodney says, shout out to Dr. Rice, who's been putting in work on the front lines of the Greenhaven Initiative. Yes, she is. She's not part of the board of directors, but she still is supporting the Greenhaven Initiative because she was the one that spearheaded it. All right. Now, I also may step down from the board of directors because I haven't been as active administratively like I would want to. But I'm still going to be a partner with the Greenhaven Initiative to continue to push that so that way we can get it established. All right. All right. So Chris, I wanted to take some questions, but you know what? I'm going to give you some time since we got about 30 minutes to jump on the panel so you can voice your grievances. And if you get the volcanic smoke, you just get the volcanic smoke. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. All right. So let me see. Let me share this link real quick. Hold on. All right. Here's the link right there. So Chris Brownson, click that link and join in so we can have a discussion. All right. I'm going to give you an opportunity to voice your grievances, and I hope you defend everything you say. Whatever you put on record, I hope you are able to defend everything that you say. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Do not waste my time because I could be teaching, I could be doing more, but yet you want to have a dialogue. You talking about, do I have a call-in number? All right, let's do this. Now you're going to make me have to go out my way just to speak with you because you can't click a link and follow 2 steps. Please do not waste my time. Please don't waste the people's time, because if you do, you will be blocked and you will not be able to give any kind of further input into this chat or on this channel. So please, if I go my way to bring you on because you want to call in because you don't want to show your face and let us see who you are, man up by showing your face and talking because you don't want to click a link and follow 2 steps. If I have to go out my way to do this, please don't waste my time. That's all I'm saying. So now I'm gonna have to go out my way to set this up just so you can call in. Gonna make me do all of this just so you can call in. This is crazy, man. All right, I'm gonna put the number up. There's the number right there. Okay? You call that number. Call that number. Call the number. He said we're supposed to be brothers, but you in here going in. So you could be my brother, but that doesn't mean that's going to exempt you from a spanking or a butt whooping. Because as a brother, that's what I need to do. I need to get you right. If you got a grievance or whatever, it's fine.
You might be right.
Shalom.
Shalom, Mox. Is this brother DivineProspect?
Yes, it is.
Oh, in the flesh. What's up, man?
What's going on? Who am I speaking with?
My name is Chris. I'm from Iowa.
Chris Brownson?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Chris?
I've been trying to get a hold of you for the last couple of days.
How so?
Yeah, I just had a few questions about your, I guess, your understanding of Christ. Do you believe that are we supposed to pray to him? And do you use his name in prayer? And do you believe that he's supposed to be the savior that's going to save Israel somehow?
Okay, so this is the question you want to know from me?
Yeah,
okay.
Your position on it.
So I'm going to first ask you, Chris, before I answer your question, have you seen any of my videos, lecture, information, articles that I put out in regards to the New Testament?
No, not really. But I don't really think that it matters in this situation right now.
I think
to be able to explain it.
I think it does. And I say that only because that is the prerequisite really before I go back and forth, because if you have not taken time or due diligence to do that, then that shows me that you don't care what my position is and that you want to seem to try to make a point, because it seems like that's what you want to do. But it's okay. Out of respect, I'm going to entertain it. So the question you asked, no problem. The question you asked was, do I believe that? So ask me one question at a time, because you said four different things.
So do you believe that we should pray in Jesus' name?
Okay, slow down.
Whatever you want to call me, Hawashai.
All right, let's slow down here. Do I believe that we should pray in his name?
Use his name in prayer next to
correct.
Who we believe the Most High's name is.
Correct. So I don't use it. No problem. I don't use the name Jesus. So no. Now, if you're talking about Yeshua Bar Yosef, where it's, the subscription from his followers is that he's the high priest after the order of Melchizedek that is performing in the heavenly sanctuary, which means that when things go to him, he then gives it to the Father, right? Or who we call the patron deity of Israel, Yod-Heh Wav-Heh. And that there's certain things that go to him and certain things that have no dealings with him. So in regards to the ideology of him being the high priest, that means there are certain things that he deals with, certain things that he handles, right? And there's certain things that have no dealings with him at all. And this is for people who subscribe to historical messianism, right? Which I subscribe to, right? So if I'm going to pray a regular prayer like the prayers that I was just telling you about, this has nothing to do with no Yeshua Bar Yosef, no Jesus, no Yahushua, no none of that. So
what would you say his role is then?
What do I say his role? You talking about while he was alive or what is subscribed to today?
Either or, actually both would be, great.
And this is why I was saying that it would be good if you have watched the material or read the material. So his role during that time, if we're looking at historical messianism, is he came on the scene in order to warn his people, told them to turn away from the paths in which they were going, which is contrary to the Most High. And in doing so, for them to accept the kingdom of Elohim that will soon to be coming here on the earth. Okay. What he taught, what people call the gospel, is nothing new. he was only repeating the same thing that's found in Isaiah chapter 52. So if you go to Isaiah chapter 52, it tells you what that gospel is. That is what he came to speak about. That is what he came to share. Isaiah 61
what
also.
About the verses where he says, believe on him and things like that? I can't, quote the specific verses, but I'm sure you can, where in the New Testament he's saying, believe on him and eat of his bread or whatever.
Bring,
subscribe to those verses
so that's
whatever?
So you talking about the book of John, right? So you can if you are you in front of a computer or you have your cell phone or something in front of you, you can just type it up and bring the passage up so we can deal with the passage within its context and exegete it properly. And we will if you can get it. But like I just mentioned earlier, the text that I typically use is the old Syriac Sinaiticus palimpsest. Are you familiar with that text?
No.
Okay. So that text is the Syriac version of what people call the New Testament that actually has its pedigree that goes back to what is believed to be the Hebrew version of the book of Matthew, right? And I did an entire lecture on this. It's almost about 4 hours. It's called Baptized in the Tradition of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, where I go through the entire exegetical methodology that I utilize through textual criticism or historical criticism or higher criticism, and then about moderate criticism in order to reconstruct and restore what we will call the book of Matthew. And using that technology, which I call the methodology, we're able to restore it back to its indigenous roots, the way that it was perceived at the period of time in which these events took place and what the importance of this character was. So in regards to me speaking about this person being historically killed for what they did, this person was a martyr, and through their martyrdom that their followers believed upon his appearance to them, that they are to go out and to bring his message to all the other Israelites that have been scattered. We see in the book of John chapter 11, it speaks about the Pharisees said that, we got to deal carefully with this man because, if we do something wrong to this man or if he dies, you know what I'm saying, then it will affect the entire nation. Then it goes on a little further. They're saying that the intent and purpose of him coming was to regather the scattered of Israel. That was his mission. His mission was to bring this message so he can do what's said in the book of Ezekiel, which is to bring the two sticks together, the northern tribe and the southern tribes, to bring them together so that way they can awaken and they can be received by the Most High when he returns.
Okay. So then can you eisegete, is that what it's called? Can you eisegete for me one verse in the New Testament, or if you even subscribe to it?
Sure, but I'm not going to eisegete anything. I'll exegete it for you. But okay. I won't eisegete.
You're educating me too, so I appreciate it.
No, it's no problem. Wait. Before you go, let me ask you a quick question because you asked me 2 questions already. Do you subscribe to what's called the New Testament?
Well, I subscribe to the fact that the Bible has been tampered with, so it's important. It's got information in there that I believe we need, but I believe it's been tampered with as well. So there's a lot of questionable things that are in that New Testament. So that's why I was going to ask you about Acts 9 and 3 through 5.
Gotcha. So now after I address that for you, then I need you to demonstrate. And when you say the word tamper, I got to find out what semantic value are you applying to the word tamper. Are you using it from a textual criticism perspective or using it from a Merriam-Webster dictionary perspective? When you say tamper, you must first define it and then demonstrate in the text where tampering is taking place. So what are you going to ask me? You said the book of Acts chapter 9, you said?
Yes, 9, 3 through 5.
So Acts is written by Luke, right, who was a traveling companion of Paul, who received a lot of his information third hand, all right? And the book of Acts is supposed to be a historical account in regards to how the apostles first flourished in the 1st century CE. But you'll see most of the emphasis placed on Paul or Shaul because that was his traveling parent. He was the one that was with Paul. So that's where he got a lot of his clout and a lot of his authority to go back and write the gospel in which he wrote. So let's get Acts chapter 9. I just want to put that within this proper context so that we can understand that, right? So we'll go to Acts chapter 9, and you said verse 3?
Yes, 3 through 5.
3 through 5. All right, let's check it out. All right, and again, I appreciate you from calling in. Like I said, I have no problem building. Even if we disagree, I'm going to be respectful to you. I'm not going to call you out your name. I'm not going to cut you off. We can build. But I just want to ensure that you're asking so we can do what Midrash is, which is to seek out the answer. And hopefully that's what you're looking to do, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it says here, as Saul drew near to Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed from him. Oh man, are you going to compare this to a later passage in the book of Acts that seems contrary to this? Because I think that's where you're going. Yes. So let's go. I'm gonna show you. You know why? I do this all the time. I have these questions all the time.
Because I don't know. I got a verse I'm going to go to.
Oh, I know you are. And it's in Acts as well, right?
It's not in Acts.
Okay, so it's outside of Acts. Is it in his epistles?
I don't know what it's in, but I know the book. But I just want to know your response first.
Okay.
And then we'll go to it, and I'll tell you why.
So we're going.
It makes logical sense.
Gotcha. So we're going to Saul, right? And again, because you don't follow my work, you don't know what my position is on Shaul, but I'll entertain it for you today. Okay. So as he, now as he went on his way, he approached Damascus, and suddenly a light from heaven shone around him. Hold on, let me make sure the chat. So if y'all can hear me, hit 1. If y'all can hear me, and if you can hear the brother Chris, hit 1. Hit 1 if you can hear us. So hold on, Chris. Let me make sure they can hear us first.
Okay.
Because I don't know if my speakers is loud enough. I'm not sure. If y'all can hear us, hit 1. Okay, they say they can hear. Okay, so let me finish. Let's continue. All right. And it says, and he fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Okay. Verse 5 says, who are you, Lord? Saul asks. He says, I am Yeshua, whom you are persecuting, he replied. You want to go to verse 5, you said?
So in that verse, are you subscribing to the fact that that's who you're using the Hebrew name, which is kind of, people who are not as advanced as that would call Yahushua, apparently, or, Jesus, or whatever,
Well, I'm saying Yeshua because during that time period, most of the inhabitants of the Roman protectorate or the Roman province of Judea during that time period in 1st century CE, and what we call today Palestine, would have spoken Aramaic, right? So he would have been called Yeshua, or they would have been using words like Adonai to say Lord or Master. Perfect. Right?
So now we have an understanding that you do subscribe to that light being who the world calls Christ, or who we call Yahweh.
It's possible.
Who you just said.
It's possible. There's no other witness to that event, right? So it's possible. So it's possible.
How do we take Paul's, if we don't know for sure, how do we take Paul's testimony at that point when we know that he was logically an enemy of the Jews because he was actually killing them, and then all of a sudden he's got this new doctrine that he comes with? Is this not the first time that he's, speaking about the appearance or the arrival of Christ on him and coming with this new man-made doctrine? Because I think he's lying on the word of God, actually. Okay. If you read Romans, I think he's lying on the word of God with those verses there.
Gotcha. So so you just put forth your opinion. We can examine that further. Like I tell people, Saul in his testimony, his account, it has no weight to me identifying as an Israelite because he was not commissioned to Israelites. So his story,
do you subscribe being what he's saying, or whoever is writing?
It's more.
Subscribe to that.
I would say that there's some weight that falls on the fact that this is justifiable. You know what I'm saying? But it has no bearing on me. But if you want to examine it or entertain it, we can, right? I don't see this as what people call this being the word of God. Like some people take it religiously and it becomes a dogmatic stance that they say everything that's here has to be 100% right and exact. Or if it's not, then it's a lie, it's false. Like that's not my stance. That's not my position, right? But you saying, is this actual eyewitness account true? And I'm saying from the text perspective, it's true, right? Am I required to believe? Well, hold on. Am I required to believe this, whether it's true or not? No, I'm not. So it has no bearing on me in regards to my subscription.
What I'm going to show you in the text is what I believe is why it's subject to it not being what you're saying. The text is basically saying that it's true.
So wait, so you're saying that this is tampered with? That's what you're saying? Because you use that word tamper.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is a tamper.
I'm going to try to prove it to you with scripture.
Now wait, so once you prove it to me with scripture, you need a second or third testimony. So you have to give me somebody in the realm of New Testament theological studies, right? Somebody in academia
I
who
don't
has
believe
wait,
in all the theological
hold
and
on.
stuff,
Hold
honestly.
on. You don't
I just like to use the scripture
I got
because
you.
I think I can prove it with the scriptures. I don't
Okay.
have to go to all that extra biblical source and all that, because I remember one thing when the Septuagint was created, I think the Jews laminated for like 30 days because it was so horribly written. So all that stuff is really up to subject, you know, honestly. So I just think we should be able to use the scriptures that we're given to prove our logic. And I think I can do that.
Okay, no problem. I'm gonna allow you to demonstrate that. But what I'm simply saying to you is because you're speaking this based on your perspective, right? In order for us as the audience to take you for what you're saying, you have to be able to source and anchor your position. Otherwise, it'll be no. I got you. Otherwise, it'll be my point of view against your point of view, and it's up to people to figure out who they want.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. You know, you can
not necessarily
build and have all the credentials and everything that you know that you have, but realistically, the scriptures was given to the babies. So really, when you break it down, I think if you read 2 Corinthians 11:14, it talks about how Satan transformed himself into an angel of light.
Wait. If Paul's a liar, you cannot go to his work to prove something.
You can.
It can't be trusted. It can't be trusted.
Because he tells on himself. Read Romans 1:25, where he says, "Who changed the truth of God into a lie and said, worship the creature more than the creator, who is blessed above all, amen." And then in Romans 3:7, he said, "If my truth on the word of God is more abundant through my lie, then why am I judged a sinner?" You read Romans 8:7, where he talks about being cardinal. And then Romans 7:14, he talks about being cardinal and sold under sin. So then read Romans 2:14, where he talks about the law being given to the Gentiles. That's not Old Testament. If God didn't change, that was never talked about. So Paul is questionable, but you still have to take on what he's saying. So just because he's lying, I mean, we got liars in our community all day that we still look up to.
Like who? Wait. Who do I look up to in our community? That's a liar, because you're saying we have liars in our community. Can you name one that I look up to?
Those dudes are liars. I'm saying, like, just generally speaking, like people like Obama, people like who we love to vote for because we put him in office, so we get fooled all the time. Jesse Jackson told us we're African.
I didn't vote for him, so I didn't put nobody in office.
But the greater part of our community did, brother. So that's what I'm saying. You can't just say, and if you're saying that we got to dismiss Paul, I'm going back to your logic. That's your opinion. I'm showing you why you don't dismiss him, because he had truth as well. He had truth within his life.
So you're drinking from so you're drinking from bitter. You're drinking from bitter and sweet water. That's what you're telling me. The text tells you about that.
I mean, I'm just telling
you. You're saying he's a liar and telling the truth. Okay.
It makes logical sense.
So what's the next scripture?
We know that the devil. I'm going to show you in other verses.
So let's slow down for a second.
Read Isaiah.
Slow down for a second. So what verses do you want to follow up? Hold on. What verses do you want to follow this up with? Acts chapter 9.
Okay.
What's the next step?
2 Corinthians 11:14.
Okay, hold on. 2 Corinthians 11:14. Let's go there. Okay.
What we know about Satan is he transforms himself.
Okay, hold on. Let me read it. So I'll start at verse 13. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workers, masquerading as apostles of Christ, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. That's what you want me to read?
Now I'm going to follow it up with Isaiah 14:12 through 14.
Okay, slow down. Isaiah 14, you said, and 12. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 14. Let's go to verse 12. Isaiah 14:12 says, "How have you fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn? You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations." That's what you want me to read?
Is that 14:12 through 14?
You want me to keep reading? Okay, you have said hold on. You have said in your heart. Gotcha. You have said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. And it says, I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Okay.
And now, if you think about this logically, why do all these people worship Christ? And I think that everybody else in all these religions are really just collateral damage to the agreement that Satan had with the devil in that 40 and 2 months to destroy his people, and they're just used as collateral damage through the other nations. That's why it's saying in Isaiah that Satan changed himself into an angel of light, and he fell from heaven, and he fell from heaven and said, I'm going to be like the Most High. So now if you read Acts 26 and 13, why does it say that this light that was brighter than like heaven came down and we all fell down? That's an analogy for when Satan and the angels fell. And this pagan worship ideology.
All right.
It makes logical sense.
Now that sounds great, but I'm gonna show you where you made several mistakes. Okay. Do you want to add anything else before I speak? Because I would like to just give my point without being interrupted. I just want to make sure you get everything out uninterrupted before I follow up.
Go ahead.
Okay. So just give me, I'm gonna step away for 1 second. Let me just check on my children. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. All right, family. So we back. All right. So you asked me, am I just going to use scripture? That's what you said?
Correct.
Okay. If you want me to just use scripture, I can, but that's your approach, right? So I will have scripture as a foundation. And if I need to use a second or third witness to verify what I'm putting forth, then I'll go to that as well. But let's wait. Hold on.
Is that New Testament or Old Testament?
All right. It'll be whatever I pull the sources from. Just like you went from the New Testament to the Old Testament, then I should be allowed to do the same, right?
It's in the Old Testament, absolutely. I didn't know that.
Okay.
You notified me on that.
Gotcha. No problem. All right. So let's do this. We're gonna walk this through very slowly. What you are implying right now is what Paul encountered is actually Satan, who's masquerading as an angel of light. And you're taking that information and you're going way back to Isaiah chapter 14, saying that this is the same entity. Is that what you're proposing?
Correct.
Okay, so let's work through that for 1 second. Okay. First and foremost, when you read the context of 2 Corinthians, it has nothing to do with a being named Yeshua. So you are eisegeting that into the text because you'd have to prove that that's who Paul is referring to. That's not who Paul's referring to. So let's go back and let's read 2 Corinthians chapter 11, because we got to read it within its context and not just take it out of context, proof text it, and then jump somewhere else and try to make it correlate. Okay. So let's get 2 Corinthians chapter 11. All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. And what verse you said that was? Wait.
Qualification in the scripture.
Hold on. Yes. Well, here, there, and there a little has nothing to do with what we're doing right now. And we're going to get to that if you want to touch that as well. I have no problem giving you some time and we can lay some things out. I just want to show you proper methodology for exegeting the text. Okay. So we go to 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and we're going to start, let's say, at verse 12. All right. Well, we can actually go a little bit further because now he's actually talking about preaching the gospel. Right. And I'll read it and get to the point, but I want people to see the context. Right. He says, I wish you would bear with me in a little foolishness. Do bear with me, for I feel a divine jealousy for you, since I betrothed you to one husband to present you as a pure virgin to Christ. But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his cunning, your thoughts would be led astray from a sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes and proclaims another Jesus, this is context, another Jesus Then the one whom we proclaimed, which is in alignment with his vision and his encounter, when you read all of his epistles and when you read the historic book of Acts, he says, or if you receive a different spirit from the one you received, and he talks about that same spirit in the book of Galatians. He says, or if you accept a different gospel from the one that you accepted, the one that he calls my gospel, you put up with it readily enough. Indeed, I consider that I am not in the least inferior to these super apostles. Even if I am unskilled in speaking, I am not so in knowledge, indeed, in every way. Let's keep going. He says, or do I commit a sin humbling myself so that you might be exalted because I preach God's gospel to you free of charge? So now we're getting more context. He's talking about he preached it free of charge without charging people for the information. He says if there's another Christ that's preached other than what I brought to you, which incorporates his vision that he encountered, that was his authorization to do what he did. He goes and he expounds on that further in Galatians chapter 2, that then connects to Acts chapter 15, where he brings forth this accusation that a Gentile has to be circumcised. Hold on. You cutting me off.
It doesn't hit the verse, though. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I'll let you finish. No,
I'm just saying, what's your point that you're making, though? You're not making the point in terms of what I'm trying to explain and how I believe.
Yes, I am. Because
can we agree that Satan disguises himself as
hold on. And we're going to understand. Yes, so we're going to understand what this means. All I'm saying is you simply took a passage without providing the context of what that passage was alluding to, and you used it to compare to another passage that you said is giving more information to this passage. Wait,
teaching a different doctrine.
Hold on. So if you're saying he's teaching a different doctrine, this is in regards to a character called Christ and Jesus. This is the terms that's being used here. But Paul is telling you specifically that if somebody preaches another Jesus, another gospel, or if you receive another spirit other than what we have brought to you, his authorization comes from his vision being authorized by this Jesus that he's talking about to go do the works that he did. This is what he's saying. So he's saying if somebody's coming in and preaching something different to you than what we've brought to you, this is what he's saying. Then he goes on to talk about that he gave the gospel message free of charge. He didn't rob anybody. Wait, let me hold on. That's why I asked you if there was anything else that you needed to say before I proceed, because I knew you was gonna cut me off.
Because you're using your logic over what I did.
I'm using my logic, what I didn't even get to your verse yet. You're not even letting me finish my point. I gave you some time to finish your point. I asked you if you needed additional time. You said no. I said the reason why I'm saying that is so that way when I speak, you do not interrupt and you do not cut me off. Because I'm not going to do that to you, my brother. Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to continue. So just entertain me for a little bit. Have some patience. Just entertain me for a little bit. And you can come back and respond all you want. I have no problem with that. Okay. And I will not interrupt you. Okay. All right. So no, it's all good. It's all good. So it goes on to say, as the truth of Christ is in me, this boasting of mine will not be silenced in the regions of Achaia. He says, and why? Because I do not love you. God knows I do. And what I am doing, I will continue to do in order to undermine the claim of those who would like to claim that in their boasted mission, they work on the same terms as we do. So he is talking about another group of people that is doing something contrary to what he is doing. This is the context of that verse that you pulled out. And it's going to go into that. And he says, for such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. He is not talking about himself, but you said that he is telling on himself. But according to the context, he's talking about there's another group of people that are doing something that he disagrees with. Now, if somebody presented to me the testimony from those people that he's talking about, saying that, no, it's really Paul who's false, then we can accept that. We don't have that anywhere in the text. So this has to be presumed. Hold on. You're gonna go back and talk about the first Jews who he encountered that said that Paul's bugging out, don't know what he's talking about. We can get to that. Hold on.
Romans 2:14.
Okay, but
Paul
not
contradicted the word of God in that verse.
Hold on. Himself. So you're giving another testimony from Paul himself about himself when what he was saying had nothing to do with himself. He's talking about something else. So I'm gonna continue to read. He says, and no wonder, hold on, and no wonder. So now he's giving you an illusion. This is a literary device that he's utilizing right now. He says, and no wonder, for even Satan, or the adversary, that this doesn't mean this is, always literally some ethereal creature, but he's saying even Satan, or the adversary, disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds. So what he's talking about here,
talking about himself.
He's not talking about himself, according to this testimony. And there's nowhere else in the text where somebody's giving a testimony that it is Paul himself who is that Satan or that angel of light.
I'm showing you from the horse's mouth in Romans.
So hold on, we're gonna get to Romans.
In Romans 3:7, what does he say in Romans 3:7?
We will get to that. I'm finishing up here so I can get to Isaiah. Okay, so here he is not, according to the context, he is not talking about himself. He is pointing the finger to another group of people who he calls such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as the apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds. I'm simply saying, in summation, that Paul is pointing a finger to another group of people who is, number one, preaching another Jesus, number two, preaching a different gospel, number three, trying to give a different spirit to people, number four, if we look about what's implied, is also sharing the gospel at a charge. And he says, number five, he says these same people, these such men who he's trying to undermine their claims are false apostles, deceitful workmen. And then he gives you an illusion, or he gives you what's called figurative language, talking about Satan disguising himself as an angel of light. And they say his servants will do the same. So I hear what you're saying. We're going to get to Isaiah 14 and go to Romans like you want. We're going to take our time there. I just want to point out what the context of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 is. Okay. So let me get to Isaiah.
Does that disprove what I said about Satan, though? All that you just said, does that disprove anything that I said about that verse?
So what I'm saying is, if you're saying that Paul is lying, then that means this, number one, can't be trusted. But number two, let's say we take...
Absolutely.
Wait.
You have to decipher it.
So now you got to decipher him lying. That's what you're saying? When he's lying, when he's telling the truth.
I can show you two verses in Romans where he's telling the truth in one verse and he's lying in the very next.
Okay, so we're going to get that. We're going to get that. All right. So that's 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and you want me to concede to the fact that here in verse 14 that we should keep that as a staple example of what Satan does, right? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, if you correlate that with Isaiah 14 and 12 through 14 and listen to what he's saying that Satan's going to do.
So we're going to get that.
He's going to rise above the clouds and be like the Most High, set himself above the olives of the congregation.
Gotcha.
Only one other person did that.
Okay. So that's 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Now let's get Isaiah chapter 14, and I'm going to show you where you're making a grave error in interpreting Isaiah 14. Okay. And again, you want me to just stick with the surface reading of the text, which I will do. I don't know if you want to go into original languages, manuscript, if you want to go to academia source citations. You don't believe we can do that? And that's another discussion. No. So you're taking for account that the English you have today is accurate 100%, and it's the word of God. That's what you're telling me?
I'm saying it's accurate enough, and it's been tampered with. The book tells you it's been tampered with in the Maccabees. It tells you in Hebrews 7 and 12 that the priesthood needed to be changed. God did not say these things. That's why I'm trying to tell you that you have to use the Old Testament as your measuring book out. Then you'll have all these other doctrines if you don't. Because if you listen to what Paul's saying, he's saying two different things. He's saying in one sense that Romans 2 and 24, the name of God is blasphemy amongst the heathen. But then go to Romans 2 and 14, where he says that for when the Gentiles who do not have the law do the things of the law, then they're just a law unto themselves. God didn't say those things. So you have to ask yourself, what angle is Paul coming from? So that's why I'm telling you in Romans 1 and 25, he's telling you who changed the truth of God into a lie and said, worship the creature who is Christ. He's the one that's pushing Christ, and all these verses are people who are basically presenting him. We know that he was once Saul, a persecutor of the Old Testament zealots that were keeping those laws, and he's the one that's teaching this new doctrine through Christ. It makes more logical sense. Now, Christ is real, But I think the Romans did something with Paul's books, and there's two Christs in the Bible. It makes logical sense. There's the one who's telling you, hey, follow the laws, but the one who supposedly came back and is the Christ crucified, who the world is praying to, that's the Isaiah verse that he's talking about. And then Paul's telling on himself in those other Acts verses as well. It makes perfect sense.
Gotcha. Now, everything you said is now on record. So like I said, we're going to visit every point you just made. And I need you to take your time to defend each passage that you reference by itself within its context before going somewhere else. Okay. So let's get to Isaiah 14, and I'm going to show you where you erred in Isaiah chapter 14. Okay. So Isaiah chapter 14. All right. Let me grab it real quick. Okay. So let's go here. And I'm assuming that you didn't see my lecture on this as well, right? On Isaiah 14 in regards to Lucifer.
No.
Okay. It's okay. All right. So let's do this, right? So Isaiah 14, you gave me what verse? Verse 12, you said, right?
Verse 12 through 14.
12 to 14. Okay.
And then we'll go back to Acts so I can prove that in Acts 26 and 13 after that.
All right.
That's
no
my
problem.
Logical understanding of it.
Gotcha. So let's go into this, okay? And then you also got to defend that opinion that the Romans changed stuff. We need to get more information on that, right? So verse 12 says, how you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. Well, let me ask you a question. What translation are you using? I want to make sure we're consistent using the same translation since we're only dealing with surface reading. What translation are you using?
We can use the KJV, but I mean,
what do you prefer? What do you prefer?
I can read.
What do you prefer?
We can do KJV. That's fine.
That's your preference. Okay. So let's get to that. Okay. Verse 12. It says, oh, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? But thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Okay. So where I want to slow you down with is that you are assuming that this verse is referring to some kind of ethereal and corporeal being by the name of Lucifer, correct? That's your assumption, right?
Satan, yes.
Okay. You said Satan. So when we go into this text, and I know you said we can't trust the original languages, even though we have the same manuscripts that this was translated
here
from.
We go.
You saying here we go, but I'm trying to help you out here, right? Because I see
we can't go because Brother Ron,
we
there's
can.
brothers that have said that it was an Abaric language. I've seen the Paleo Hebrew look like the Canaanite language. We can't say that there's the original language because that's a discussion that's an open end. That's your opinion on
no.
What it's saying there, I believe.
We
so
can't.
What we can understand.
We can. Hold on.
The KJV.
Hold on. No. And KJV is written in Old English, and a lot of the stuff in the KJV is erroneous as well. And we can point out all the typeist errors or the scribal errors in the KJV if you want to go. There's doublets. There's a whole bunch of issues with the KJV.
The finer points
okay, so wait.
In there
hold on.
Are good enough.
Gotcha. So let me finish what I'm saying. Okay. So what I'm simply trying to explain to you is that word there, Lucifer, is not in the Hebrew manuscript that this derives from. It's not even in the Greek Septuagint. That word there that you see as Lucifer comes from Lucis, that's in the Western text, which is the Latin Vulgate, that then in later manuscripts develops into what we call Lucifer. And that is something that was subscribed to by the Church of England when the King James Version of the Bible was being translated. So I'm simply telling you that this text is not talking about some incorporeal ethereal being that people call it Satan, that is also Lucifer. This is not what this is talking about.
He's the text.
Let me finish. Let me finish. That's not
son of the morning star.
That's not true. And I'm gonna show you where that's erroneous as well. So let's take one thing at a time. You gotta work with me, okay? Let's take one thing at a time. All right. So in verse 12, when we scroll up to kind of see, when you do an exegesis, you got to find out who's the speaker and who's the intended audience. The speaker in this case is Isaiah, who's speaking on behalf of the Most High. Okay. And then the targeted audience is the king of Babylon. This has nothing to do with some incorporeal ethereal supernatural being called Lucifer or Satan. And this is simply explained.
So
and wait,
so he's going to ascend up above the clouds?
This is what's called an idiom. Okay. This is when you have a king or a god king or a king who believes he's divine. And when you say things like this is a blasphemous way of saying that you will be above all the gods or all the most high God. Like, this is what they would do. This is not confusing. This is an idiom. And again, you're saying this because you're only sticking to surface level reading. And I'm trying to stay there with you. And I'm trying to explain to you that this is an idiom which is utilized by kings who defy the gods. There's historical records of kings doing this all the time in ancient Near Eastern cultures, including the Bible, where they believe they could do things against the will of the God and still be triumphant in doing so. So by him saying this is a blasphemous statement, because if you continue to read on, we're going to see a degree of mortality behind the statement or idiom that's being used by this king here. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Are you familiar with the Tower of Babel Stele? Yes or no?
Say that again?
The Tower of Babel Stela.
No.
Okay, so it's an artifact that was erected by Nebuchadnezzar. And in the artifact, he gives you an image of a ziggurat. And that ziggurat is believed to be what's called the Intimanaki. And it is an edifice that was designed to reach into the heights of the heaven that would allow the king to be higher than the gods.
I thought we weren't going to go outside the Bible, Brother Rob.
Well,
you already went out there.
No, what I'm saying is, hold on. Hold on. So
if that's the case, what you're saying basically, then why do we even use the KJV? I mean,
I don't use it.
I just don't.
You use it.
Okay.
You use it, brother. So I'm respecting you.
How are you so sure about what you're saying is the language when nobody knows the language?
You keep saying nobody. You say
there's a scholar that'll tell you 50 different things.
Who?
That's why
cite him.
I've heard
who is he?
That we use Obaric. Have you heard of that language?
Yes, before? I have. Cite the brother who's saying this so we can go to his work and we can examine it. I'm gonna explain to you how we know. Let me give you an example of how we know, right? Because I've studied linguistics, right? I'm pretty good with biblical Hebrew, right? I'm trying to work my way to an expertise in that field.
What Hebrew do you speak?
Hold on. Let me finish.
What Hebrew do you speak?
Okay. So I'm gonna explain to you what I mean. I speak what's called biblical or classical Hebrew, which is just one phase in the development of the language. Okay. You also have an archaic Hebrew, which can be derived from what we call inscriptions or artifacts that's left. An example of that would be, the Arad letters, or another example of that would be the Lachish letters, or another example of that would be an inscription like the Tunnel of Siloam that was established. So we have inscriptional Hebrew, and we also have classical Hebrew, right? Today, that biblical Hebrew, what we're working with. You also have
constantly debating about which one is the more accurate one. So that's an opinion at the end of the day.
It has nothing to do with accuracy, because what you're reading here in the text comes straight from classical or biblical Hebrew, not archaic Hebrew, not early Hebrew.
If the first translation was the Septuagint, and we know that they lamentated for 30 days, then how do we know how accurate everything out from that point is?
The Septuagint comes from a Hebrew text that was in existence at the time. If you read the works of Emmanuel Tove, who is a textual criticist of the Old Testament, he elaborates, and he's not the only one that does that, but he's like the main guy in that field. And if you want me to explain to you how we can determine these things, because I give you an example. If I want to translate something from English to Spanish, right? And let's say that I cannot find the equivalent word in English that's in Spanish.
It's not the same as Hebrew.
It is the same in Hebrew. It's the same as Hebrew. And if you want to go into the Septuagint, I will show you where these examples exist, where there's transliterations because of what you just said. They were unable to find equivalent words, so they just simply transliterated it and kept it in the same.
Say that your understanding is more accurate than the next person if we know that as a fact.
You keep saying my understanding.
I don't have to go outside the Bible to prove my logical point. You're doing that.
What I'm telling you is that there's no way for you to validate anything that you're saying, because you have not cited one thing for something that you claimed is outside the Bible, right? You said the Romans were the ones that put stuff in Paul's writings. You can't verify that outside the Bible because it's not in the Bible. So you'd have to go to outside sources to validate what you just said. There's other claims that you made. Wait. You're talking about
the Bible for and what I'm using logic for.
So you're talking about the letter of Artius, right? Is that what you're talking about? When you're talking about the translation of the Septuagint, is that what you're talking about?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So you read that, you're telling me, right?
No, I haven't read it, but I've read about it.
Okay, so you got
enough about it. Not enough to really use it as a baseline.
Gotcha.
So I don't believe that you can.
So then why even cite that if you're saying there's no way to validate it?
Because you're citing things outside the scriptures now. I've asked you before in this conversation, are you going to go outside the scriptures? When you went to Isaiah 14 and 12, the first thing you did was go outside the scriptures and say that don't really say that. That's the whole reason why we're out there now.
So let me ask you a question, right?
I know. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So let me ask you a question, right? When we deal with the Old Testament from the King James Version of the Bible, right? When we look at, let's say, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12, okay? The manuscript that they translated from, we have that manuscript today. If you go back to that manuscript, because again, they use a translation methodology. When you read the preface of the King James Bible, if you want me to pull up, I can read it to you. There's a particular methodology that they utilize to translate. If you're saying that we can't do that today, but you trust the book in which they did this back in the 16th, 17th century, that makes no logical sense. How are they able to be gifted with the ability to translate a Hebrew text?
The point that I'm trying to prove makes everything perfect sense. Because what I'm trying to prove to you is I don't have to go outside of the Bible to prove my point. And essentially, you're going outside to basically say that this isn't what it means, and we can't prove that. So what I'm saying is what makes the most logical sense is what we all have.
Are you telling me
why we have it over here? If we're the people that we are supposedly those people, why would we have this book? Now, remember, the slave Bible was given to us with 90% of the Old Testament missing. So there's a reason why we have this book. So I don't think that it's necessary to do a whole lot of research, and I respect your scholarship and the research you're doing, but I don't believe that discredits what those verses are saying and what I'm trying to prove.
Okay. So simply what I'm saying to you is that the manuscript that the King James translators utilize to translate from Hebrew to English, we have that same manuscript today. And unless you're telling me that the King James translators were the only people that had the divine knowledge to translate from Hebrew, classical Hebrew, into English, and you're saying we no longer have that ability today, that would pose a big. Okay, so if you're not saying that, and I'm able to furnish for you that same Hebrew, hold on.
That they're talking about Babylon there. That they're talking about the king of Babylon.
Yes, because of the context is geared towards the king of Babylon. When he's pouring out this particular lamentation for the king of Babylon, everything that follows is in regard to the king of Babylon. It has nothing to do with an incorporeal, ethereal, supernatural deity called Lucifer, also known as Satan. That has nothing to do with the text is saying. If you were to research ancient Babylonian culture and how the kings were deified and titles that would be called, what we see there, he's called a particular title. That is something that they call the king of Babylon. This is not something that is exclusive to the Bible.
Who else was called Lucifer, son of the morning?
Nope.
Was that not in there?
Lucifer comes from the what? Lucifer comes.
Was that not in the original text either then?
No, I didn't say that. That we will see, because that is simply just an appellation or simply an epithet that is given.
Called that, though?
Hold on.
Babylonian king.
Babylonian kings are called that because if you are not attempting to look at Babylonian culture and read the cuneiform,
Ron, I'm talking about in the scriptures.
Okay.
What verse?
So
I can show you the verse where there's only one other person called that, and you can call that person a deity.
Let's do this.
That would make more logical sense.
Let's do this. Are you saying that I'm not allowed to use Hebrew and Greek? Because I'm gonna go to Hebrew and Greek for you. Are you saying that we lost our ability to also translate Greek as well? Are you saying that?
No, you can use that.
Okay.
But I'm saying that the Bible has a purpose. I'm telling you, it's been tampered with, but it has a purpose.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
The majority of our people who are supposedly Israelites are getting this Bible here. So that wouldn't make sense to me. I just don't think it would make logical sense for us to have it then if it doesn't have a purpose.
I'm not saying it doesn't have a purpose. We're not arguing that. What we're arguing is the methodology that was utilized to get it in the form that we're reading right now that we can go back and verify. That's all I'm saying to you, right? So let's go into that verse. And if you can entertain me for a second, let me just go through the Hebrew of that verse. And I'm going to go to the Greek in the book of Revelation that you referenced, and I'm going to go to the Greek of that verse, and I'm simply going to demonstrate for you that they're not talking about the same thing. And let me show it to you. I'm going to demonstrate it for you, okay? If you could just entertain me for a moment. All right. So I know you're very zealous, and you want to get your point out there logically, and you want to tell me that I'm wrong, and it's okay. You can put that on record. It's not a problem. I just want you to.
I'm not saying that you're wrong.
No, it's okay. I'm misguided, or I can't be certain. This is stuff that you say, and I accept that. No problem. I never profess that I know everything, right? I don't. But the things that I'm confident in, I'm sharing with you, right? So you can go back and verify what I'm saying, so you don't have to take my word or my opinion for what it is that I'm demonstrating for you. So if you go to Isaiah chapter 14, and I'm going to show you how you can fact check what I'm saying if you don't believe what I'm saying is true, right? There's several websites online. One of them is BibleHub.com. Another one is BlueLetterBible.org. You can go to any one of these sites, and when you go to these sites, you can actually pull up the Hebrew manuscript, right? And then not only the Hebrew manuscript, they try to help you by keying it with a Strong's Concordance, right? The Strong's Concordance is more of an elementary and dated kind of method of understanding the original language, because they have more up-to-date lexicons that deal with a better semantic range of what those actual words mean, because they use other ways to verify it, right? So what I'm saying to you is that when you go to Isaiah chapter 14, you look at verse 12, in the Hebrew, there's no equivalent word there for Lucifer. So the word, you ever heard that word halal before?
No.
Okay, you ever heard of halal food? If you go to some place where there's Muslims and there's food that they get, and their food is supposed to be called halal food. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Have you heard of kosher?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same. So it's like the way that Jews deem something kosher is the way that Muslims deem something halal, right? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there is a cognate word there in the Hebrew that is used there for the word that is translated into Lucifer. Okay, that word that's there is Hillel, right? And you can go and look it up if you want to fact check me. It's Hey Zere Yod Lamed Zere Lamed, right? Hillel, right? If you go back to the root word of that, which we'll say is halal, that root word in the cow stem, which means a simple active verb form, simply means to make bright, to shine. Okay. So now when you go back to this word Hillel, you simply, what you're doing is you're taking that verb and turn it into a verbal noun, and it becomes the one who shines, or the shining one. That is simply what that means. That is not a proper noun. Okay. That is simply just an epithet, or simply just a title that is given to an individual. Okay. And like I said, if we were able to transverse out of the text into the cuneiform of ancient Babylon, you will see similar epithets that are there, because that's considered a Semitic language that also correlates what we're reading in the text. So here, that word Lucifer it cannot be translated from Hillel. It's just, there's no way to translate it that way. Whether even if you transliterate it, you would get H-E-L-E or L-I-E-L. There's no way that it can translate directly if you're doing a transliteration to the word Lucifer, because Lucifer has a root in Latin, not Hebrew. When you go look up Lucis, you get to see how that transformed from Lucis to Lucifer. And if you understand the dogma behind Lucis to Lucifer, you understand why the Roman Catholic Church taught that doctrine and how it found its way to influence in the Church of England. So when the King James translators go to translate the text, they're using their information that they get from understanding how the Catholic Church teaches that this passage is supposed to be translated from Hillel to Lucifer, and they add it to their translation. When you look at any critical edition, modern Bibles today, they don't have the word Lucifer there, because they're not relying upon a dogma or a doctrine in order to properly render the narrative. And that's simply all I'm saying to you. So let's say, for example, the shining one is an appellation. Let's say we want to use that as an appellation, right? And you want to take that and compare that to what we get in the book of Corinthians, where it says that the Satan himself, the adversary himself, disguises himself as an angel of light, right? Because in this case, this is not talking about an angel. The word there in Hebrew is melech. That's a messenger. That's all angel means. It's a border crosser, one that can go from one realm to another realm to deliver a message. Okay. So when we read this has nothing to do with an angel. The word there doesn't exist. The word El is not there. Eloah is not there. Elohim is not there. Any word for God. Bene Elohim is not there. The word for sons of God. None of that.
So what's there in the Hebrew then?
I just told you. It's Halel, which means a shining one or one who shines. That's simply what it means.
Who has many names in the Bible?
Who has many names in the Bible?
Does the devil have many names?
I mean, you talking about? Are you talking about in the New Testament or the Old Testament?
Either one. Here, let me try to get it here for you.
Sure. So if you want to look in the Old Testament, you're saying, does Satan have different names? Satan just simply means an adversary. And depending upon the context, it could refer to a literal person or it could refer to some kind of incorporeal ethereal being. And we have examples of what both of those things are. For example, David became a Hashatan or the adversary towards the Most High when he was numbering the people. And then when we go to Job chapter 2, we see that an individual called Hasatan is being presented with the sons of God or the sons of Elohim, Bene Elohim, before this preeminent being. So we know by context that they're referring to two different things. Okay. So again, if you want to say it has different names, then that means David is one of the names of Satan. And if you're going to say,
what it's saying, Ron.
Okay, so let's get that. Let's get that. No, there's no conjecture. There's no conjecture.
You're going outside of the scriptures,
no.
You're not proving me wrong in what I'm saying.
I'm proving you wrong, completely proving you wrong. And I'm saying I'm completely, hold on. I'm completely proving you wrong because what I'm simply trying to show you that in order for you.
Show me in the scriptures where someone else was given the name of the morning star. You said that the Babylonians were given that. You're going outside of the scriptures to prove that, which is probably fine. But what's the purpose of the Bible, if it was that important or if it was supposed to be that, I guess, diverse amongst other kings and things like that, those kings are in the Bible. So why aren't they mentioned as the morning star? Why is it only Lucifer and Jesus, basically?
Because we're referring to the king of Babylon, which is Nebuchadnezzar. We're not referring to the kings of Israel. So therefore, they're not going to have that title. Okay. So this is the title that is used exclusively with the king of Babylon. All right. So if you look at the timeline in which Isaiah existed and the timeline in which he was speaking this message, you know exactly what king he was referring to when this was taking place. Okay. So what I'm saying is, let's
hold on. Believe what you were saying about the conjecture of these kings supposedly having this spiritual fly high, because like I said, what king is going to try to ascend above the Most High? You're saying that the kings have some kind of divinity where they're doing that? That's
not what I'm saying. What I'm simply telling you is that is an idiom to blaspheme other deities. The Tower of Babel,
anybody else.
Hold on. You can't, Paul's not referring to anything in the book of Isaiah in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Paul's not saying nothing about this. You are saying that Paul's also referring to the same thing in Isaiah. Paul's not saying that. You're saying that.
I'm saying Paul is basically referencing the same person.
So you're saying that Paul's referring to the king of Babylon. That's who he saw?
I'm saying that Isaiah is not referring that in the King James Version as the king of Babylon in 14:12. I don't see that. You're going to an extra biblical source.
So to prove that, you don't see where, hold on. You don't see where the king of Babylon is referenced in Isaiah chapter 14. So let's read this. Hold on. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 3. When the Most High, or the Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, has given you rest from your pain and turmoil and the hard service with which you were made to serve, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. This is who he, and you want to know how you know it's a taunt? Because when you go on to the rest of the verse, you'll see that it says clearly in the verse, chapter 18, all the kings of the nations lie in glory, each in his own tomb, but you are cast out away from your grave like a loath branch, clothed with the slain, those pierced by the sword, which is the worst way for a king to be buried, who go down to the stones of the pit like a dead body trampled underfoot. You will not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land. You have slain your people. Many offspring of evildoers never no more be named, prepare slaughter for his sons because of the guilt of their fathers, lest they rise and possess the earth and fill the face of the earth of the world with cities. That is the taunt. After he talks about the things that the pompous king is saying, it ends off with the rest of the quotations where he starts to taunt the king of Babylon because of the things that he is claiming to be able to do. This is what we're talking about. There's no way in the world that
the Babylonian king named instead of Lucifer, son of the morning. Then
the Babylonian, it said the king of Babylon. That's what the text says.
It doesn't say that in 12-14. Now, I understand that he's mentioning that in the earlier verses in Isaiah, but that doesn't mean that he's mentioning that in 12-14.
And where you getting that from?
Lucifer, son of the morning. You're going outside the Bible to say that doesn't mean that.
I'm not going outside the Bible. I stayed within the Bible, and I showed you the context, right? If you read the rest of the verse that you just read, verse 15 says, "But you are brought down to Sheol, to the far reaches of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you and ponder over you. Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook kingdoms, who made the world like a desert and overthrew its cities, who did not let his prisoners go home? All the kings of the nations lie in glory, each in his own tomb," which means the kings who are doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're buried in the tomb. But in this case, he's not going to be buried in the tomb. He's going to be laid out as a spectacle for other people to make fun of him. This is the taunt. This has nothing to do with no incorporeal supernatural being. This has to do with a physical king.
I disagree with that.
Okay, so we disagree. No problem. Okay, so let's move forward, because even if you read the rest of it, it says you will be cut off from Babylon, name and the remnant, descendants and prosperity. There's no way that the devil has literal descendants. He doesn't have babies. Okay, only a king can have children. But let's step away from that. Let's go back to what you were saying in Romans. Let's go to another portion, and then I want to try to wrap this up simply so I can give somebody another opportunity to ask a question or whatever the case may be. So let's get to what is the next major point that you want to make. Pick anything. Okay. What's the next major point you want to make? Because again, like I said, you don't know my position on the New Testament, hence why I think this is entertaining, right? Because if you did, you wouldn't have approached me with this. But I want to simply play from perspective that, let's say I'm defending Paul, right? This is the perspective in which I'm playing that role. So I'm willing to entertain this, right? So let's go to the next verse that you want to go. Go ahead.
Okay, so you kind of hid behind if you thought that was Jesus or not in Acts 9 and 3 or 4. What I got from that,
I didn't hear from nothing. That was Paul's testimony. That's what he said.
Wrong, but that's what I got, is that you believe that that's who the world calls Jesus in Acts 9
I'm
and
saying 3. That is simply from Paul's testimony, where nobody else saw that but him. That's his testimony. So that's what I'm saying.
Earlier, that biblically that would be correct.
I'm saying to you, yeah, within the narrative, it's correct. I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm simply saying to you, this is Paul's account. This is his testimony. And the same testimony that he gives stands to be consistent throughout the rest of the narrative of the book of Acts, as well as in his epistles. This is what I'm saying to you. Now, whether or not people agree or disagree, that's a different story, even historically.
Premise on using Yahushai, or if you want to call it who the world calls Jesus, as your medium in between the Most High?
As my medium?
Yeah.
What do you mean that I have to?
Most High, you invoke him. What's the purpose for invoking Yahushai, or who the world calls Christ?
So in regards to Yeshua, I just mentioned to you, according to what is laid out in the book of Hebrew or the book of Hebrews, it says that he is the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, which means that he initiated people into that order while he was alive. And that now that he has ascended, according to the narrative, he is now working in the heavenly sanctuary as a high priest. And in doing so as a high priest, we go back and we look the same way that the high priest operated here on earth. The high priest, hold on. That's not confusing. I'm just telling you what it was believed by the people who scribed the New Testament. And I'm going to show you why they subscribe to the fact that it's consistent and why I see merit in that. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is the high priest on the earth was the one that was responsible for going into a particular realm of the temple that nobody else was allowed to go into. And he was to go there once a year in order for him to make propitiation of sins for the people. Okay. And he's supposed to be doing what he's supposed to do. Otherwise, something can happen to him while he's there. The bottom line that I make is that the high priest was the one that mediated between the people and the Most High on Yom Kippur. Okay. He's the one that mediated between the two, which means if you had sins and he didn't do his job, you would still be in your sins.
So
once a year.
God change? Does the Most High change?
Does the Most High change in regards to the high priest system? Because that ended.
Does the Most High change, period?
Does his character change? No, his character doesn't change, but things on the earth do change.
Okay, so did our forefathers need a medium? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob?
Yeah, because Abraham did need a medium, and his name was Melchizedek.
What about Isaac and Jacob? Did they pray to who you would call Jesus as far as their medium?
I don't call any of that Jesus. I never said that Jesus was there as a person in the Old Testament. I don't teach that. So you're
I'm not saying you do, but you're following the New Testament. It sounds like you're subscribing to the fact that he's the high priest that's supposed to atone for the sins from what you just said. So where was he in the Old Testament, and when did God change and make him that in the New?
This person you're talking about, this historical individual, did not exist in the Old Testament. I don't teach about pre-existence.
So
hold on. I don't teach pre-existence. So any argument that correlates with pre-existence is not what I teach. I don't teach that he existed in the Old Testament. This is not what I teach. I don't teach that. So what I'm simply trying to say to you is that the temple itself was destroyed. And being that the temple itself was destroyed, this is the subscription that the followers of Yeshua had, that he is the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, and that he is in a heavenly sanctuary performing duties and tasks. This is what is being spoken about.
Do you subscribe to that, though?
I said that there's merit in that. Yes. I believe that there's some merit to that.
God changed and introduced this Jesus.
When did you say, when did he change? What are you talking about, this Jesus figure?
He doesn't.
Okay. I said his character does not change. I said things on the earth changes, but his character doesn't change. For example, the temple is, hold on. The temple itself,
Isaiah 43 and 11,
the temple,
says, look unto me to be saved.
Okay.
Then where did Jesus come in as this sacrificial lamb?
You saying a sacrificial lamb? That's not what I said. I just referenced to you the book of Hebrews, and I told you that my go-to text is the book of Matthew, where you don't see nothing about what you're talking about some lamb is there in Matthew. And I explained to you why I subscribe to the OSS of the version of Matthew. And like I said, because you're not familiar with my position, you are making assumptions that I'm holding certain positions that I don't. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. Okay, wait.
If you subscribe to that,
I answered your question, and I said that there's merit to that, and I tried to explain to you why there's merit to that. And that merit.
How do you say that trumps the word of God?
When did I say?
In Isaiah that there's no other.
When did I say anything else trumps the word of God?
Because
all right, let's do this. Let's do this.
Then you're basically saying
let's do this.
Those verses in Isaiah where he says there's no other God besides me. Exodus.
You saying gods? When did I say there was any gods face to face or at the same level as who we call the Most High? I've never said that. I never said that to you. So I don't know where you're getting that from. I never said that.
Brother Ron, so what I'm saying is this. I want to try to be clear. You're saying that there's merit to that.
To a high priest in a heavenly realm?
If you're saying there's merit to that, then you have to say that God changed.
That's not true. So let me show you. Let me show you. Slow down for a second, right? You saying that didn't happen in the Old Testament. I agree, because there's no need for it to happen in the Old Testament, right? Just like, for example, there was no need to have a king before 1 Samuel. But there was a king. Why was there a king?
We weren't supposed to have a king.
Exactly. But guess what? We did have a king. So did that change? Wait. Did that change? Did the people bow down to the king and worship the king along with the Most High? Yes or no?
Man, we're talking about
yes or no. Just say yes or no.
And that's in the scriptures. That doesn't have anything to do with the changing of the order that you're talking about.
It should, because why are the people bowing down and worshiping the king along with the Most High? Why would they do something like that?
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
Because we did all kind of stuff. We were worshiping all kind of other gods. That by that logic, that doesn't matter.
Wow. Okay. So
But we
Let's
weren't
do this.
worshiping
Let's do
Jesus
this.
and saying that he's the sacrificial lamb of the high order of the priest. That's a very important thing, don't you think?
Of course, that has some merit in it, of course. And that has some merit in it. And that merit would have to be walked through for we could get all the passages to make that case, right? But simply because you are cutthroating your examples and trying to kind of like project your logic onto me, I'm saying simply you are coming from the wrong presupposition, because you are presuming that there are certain things that I'm holding to be true. And then you're adding things like lamb, which I never brought up that term. You said there should be no gods before the Most High, which I never said there was any God before the Most High. So you are presuming some things that I don't teach and I don't subscribe to. So let me do this. And I'm trying to give you some backdrop as to why I have a subscription and say that there's merit to the things that's being said in what we call the New Testament. So I'm going to show you.
I said that in the beginning about Paul. And you basically said, if that's the case, then we should dismiss the whole thing. So you're not using your own logic.
Were there any other saviors in Israel besides the Most High?
No.
So no man was called the savior or redeemer.
He might have been called that, but he wasn't the savior. God didn't say there was one. That's what I'm saying.
Wait a second. So you're saying that they may have been called that, but God didn't say that. So correct. If I read this to you in the text, are you telling me that this is going to be something that was also tampered with?
It's possible, brother.
Wow.
Both the old and the new have been tampered with.
Okay.
God says in Isaiah 43 and 10, look unto me to be saved.
There's no...
In Psalms 84 and 11, it says that God is the Son.
So...
that Psalms 84 and 11 is a direct tamper.
Does the Most High...
God is not the Son.
Does the Most High make his elect to be God unto other people?
Oh, man, come on, Brother Ron.
Yes or no?
That, brother.
So you said yes. So therefore, we're laying a lot of things out. If we go to the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah says specifically that you have sent other saviors to Israel. There's other saviors that was in Israel. So, that the wait. Hold on.
There's no other savior.
So what I'm saying, okay. So let's get Isaiah chapter 43. Hold on. Let's get Isaiah chapter 43 then. I have no problem going to every verse that you're pulling out. Isaiah chapter 43. Okay. And you said what verse in Isaiah 43?
I believe it's one moment here. Isaiah 43, either 10 or 11, I believe.
10 or 11. Okay. All right. It says, you are my witnesses, declares Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and my servant who I have chosen, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, no God was formed, nor shall there be any after me. I am Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and besides me, okay.
45 and 22. Isaiah 45 and 22.
Well, 11 also says, I am Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and besides me, there is no savior. But you said go to verse 22. Okay, let's go to verse 22.
Isaiah 45 and 22.
45 now. Now you get me to 45 because I just read 43 and 11, which helps out your case.
I said Salak 45 and 22, brother.
So wait, so 43 and 11 does not help your case?
It might help my case, but that's not the verse I was looking for.
Okay.
45 and 22
so 45
and
22. Turn to me and be saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God and there is no other. Okay. So what's your point here with this verse?
God says, look unto me to be saved.
Okay,
so
I agree with that.
People who are saying that there's a savior, you're comparing them being a savior to God's word of being a savior, bro. You're playing.
When did I say that? I didn't say that. You're making that correlation. I never said that.
Were there other saviors?
And you said yes. No. And I said, yes, there are. There was other saviors in Israel that the Most High used to save Israel. Yes.
Brother,
how do you okay? So in Isaiah chapter 43, how is the Most High going to enact salvation in the earth? How does he enact salvation in the earth? How does he do it?
Isaiah 43 and 11.
I read that for you already. Isaiah 45. What I'm saying to you is, how does the Most High enact salvation in the earth?
I don't know, through his elect, probably.
Thank you very much. So if he's using another vessel to be the medium for salvation, those other vessels can be considered a savior as well, which we see in Nehemiah. Nehemiah specifically says that.
Well, what does Isaiah 43:11 specifically say?
So now what we have to do is try to find a way to harmonize what's being said here, because it seems like there's a contradiction unless we read it. Wait. Hold on. Unless we read it within its context. Isaiah 45:20 is very clear. It says, "Assemble yourselves and come, draw near together, you survivors of the nations." Context. They have no knowledge who carry about their wooden idols and keep on praying to a God that cannot save. This is called context. Declare and present your case. Let them take counsel together. Who told this long ago? Who declared it of old? Wasn't that I, Yod-Heh-Wah-Feh? There is no other God besides me, a righteous God and a Savior. There is none beside me. This is talking about the survivors of the other nation, because some event took place and they have carried around wooden idols that they believe to be their God and that will provide them salvation. This is exactly who he is talking to. The text is clear to explain itself.
But
so
Israelites are doing that by using Yahweh as their medium.
So if Israelites are doing this, this is what you're saying. So first, I'm trying to give you the context here. But then now you're saying, well, Israelites are doing the same thing that the survivors of the other nation did, which is a wooden idol. You said, so Israelites have wooden idols? What Israelite that you know has a wooden idol? Can you tell me their name or show me a video or something of an Israelite that has a wooden idol?
Idols and graven images. You're following Paul.
So
Paul's telling you to follow Christ. Christ is telling you basically that you have to go through him for salvation.
So
that's basically where is your premise not going through who you call Christ for salvation?
I did not say that to you.
Is that not your premise for salvation?
My premise in regards to salvation is based on what type of salvation we're talking about. So in regards to, and I have a great lecture, it's called Capital Punishment, Human Sacrifice for the Atonement of Sin in the Bible, okay? Because people were used as human sacrifices in the Bible. It's there. And when we look to see what the law dictates on who should be a human sacrifice, the same thing happened to Yeshua Bar Yosef. And we have validation of that also in the Talmud. So we have evidence that he was also sacrificed because he was bringing upon an evil to the rest of the children of Israel based on their position of him teaching and doing witchcraft and him being idolatrous, right? This is the charges.
So what was he a sacrifice for? Was he not a sacrifice for salvation?
He was a sacrifice, to save the nation of Israel, because if a man is in Israel that is sinning and nobody does anything about it, like the book of Joshua says with Achan, then the sin will be on all the people. So it's the responsibility of the leaders to put that person to death, so that way that sin will not fall upon or befallen anybody else that's there in the nation or community. So therefore,
you believe that trumps Isaiah 43:11.
You're adding these terms. You're adding these terms trump. There's nothing in the New Testament that trumps anything that's there in the Tanakh at all. The Tanakh is the measuring stick, and the problem is if you're looking at the what's called the New Testament from the lens of Christianity, then you will start to see some inconsistencies. I don't teach it that way. So I'm simply trying to explain to you.
You teach salvation through Christ. That's basically what Christians teach as well.
You didn't hear me say that. I explained to you that salvation comes in many forms. Just like I asked you, how does Yah enact salvation?
You validate that in the Old Testament.
I said, how does Yah enact salvation in the earth? You said.
You validate that. What you believe, is that what you believe, or is that scripturally an understanding, or is it just like I'm basically formulating my opinion based off of what I understand?
What point are you referencing?
I see that in the Old Testament, Brother Ron.
What don't you see in the Old Testament? Tell me.
That Christ is a sacrificial lamb, or
when did I say that?
When there's different types of you said there's
when did I say that? There is different types of salvation. That's correct. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example, right?
Can you give me an example with the
hold on. I can't give you an example of the scriptures if you want that, but I want to lay out a point and then I can validate that with the text. How's that?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll give you an example, right? If you are doing the wrong thing in life and I come along and I tell you, listen, you don't want to keep doing that thing, because if you keep doing that thing, you're going to suffer grave, and you're saying, bro. So I'll let you speak since I can't talk. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
No, because I know where you're going with this, and we're talking about a specific type of salvation. You're saying that there's different types. We know that. I'm talking about scripturally speaking. You can't apply that, what you're getting ready to say, to the scriptures when we know what salvation is being talked about in the scriptures.
What salvation? Wait,
sites.
what salvation is being talked about that you're referencing?
Being saved from the heathen, being saved from the fire.
The fire?
The Most
The
High
fire?
rules by fire.
Wait. Being saved by what
Absolutely.
fire? What fire?
From the fire that's to come, from the Most High.
What's the fire that's to come from the Most High? Where's that at? Show it to me.
Jeremiah 4:7.
Okay, bring it out. And don't forget to read the context, because you never read the context, but I'm going to let you just read that verse. Go ahead.
It says, the lion has come up from his thickest, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He has gone forth from his place to make the lands desolate, and the city shall be laid waste without inhabitants.
Okay.
Let me see here, and I'm going to give you another verse.
Well, no. Stay there. Keep going. Don't go from there. Stay there and keep going. Go ahead.
Hold on, brother.
Okay, sure. I'm very patient, as you can see. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 32:22.
Okay, so now we jump into Deuteronomy now. Okay, you said.
I'm showing you different.
Wait.
Telling you about the
wait,
fire.
you didn't show me that. Wait.
Before.
You didn't show me no fire in Jeremiah. Find me this fire in Jeremiah first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One moment here.
Sure, take your time.
Let's go back to that one. We'll get back to that one, or I'll concede that one.
Okay, no problem. So let's get to Deuteronomy then. So go ahead, go to Deuteronomy.
Okay. For a fire is kindled in my anger.
So what is this?
Deuteronomy 32:22.
32:22. Hold on, let me bring it so I can follow you. 32:22. All right, so go ahead.
It says, for a fire is kindled in my anger, and it shall burn into the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. That has not happened. Does it not say something in one of the scriptures that a fire will come before the great day of the Lord?
Are you quoting something from Paul, who's a liar? That's a problem.
Absolutely. Did I not tell you earlier that Paul has truth and lies? So that's in perfect validation with what I'm saying.
Brother,
I gave you the verse earlier.
That sounds like confusion, man. That sounds like confusion.
No,
if I lied to you, wait. If I lied to you right now, if I constantly lied to you, are you telling me that, oh, I don't care that he's lying? Let me go back and find out what he's saying that's true.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You got to look for the truth in the lie, because we know that there's lies in the Bible.
And how do you determine what's true and what's a lie?
Okay, let me ask you this. Go to Acts 24:24.
Okay. So is this the answer to my question? If I go to Acts?
I'm going to prove something to you in Acts.
Is that going to answer my question to know how do we determine what's true and what's lie in Paul's epistles?
I'll tell you this, the easiest way to figure out what's true and what's false is work your way out from the Torah out. And God's word is pretty clear. God says a few things that really you shouldn't even have to question. The Most High says a few things that when you compare to what the Most High is saying compared to what these other people are saying, like salvation is through this order of the high priest, which I believe that you're saying, but you're not outright saying that. When you're saying that it has merit to it, that is basically going against what the Most High said in that Isaiah verse where there's no other savior. So you have to bring that together if you're saying that there's no problems with the scriptures and that there's merit to that when there was no Jesus in the Old Testament. We know that Paul was suspect in what he believed, so that's why you have to question what he said. Did
the order of Melchizedek exist in the New Testament? I mean, the Old Testament, what people call the Old Testament. Okay,
absolutely.
So the order of Melchizedek did exist. So what happened to the order of Melchizedek?
I can't tell you that. I don't know.
All right.
But I
So
can tell you,
when you go in,
tell you that it
hold on.
As a sacrificial lamb,
When you go and
so
so let's say that's relative, right? But let's say this: if you go into the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Quran community, they give you information on the order of Melchizedek. And when you look to see the individuals in first century Palestine who followed after Yeshua Bar Yosef, they were in close encounters with this Quran community. And we know that when we hold on. Yes, I know what that comes from. We're not talking about the name of the land. I'm simply trying to show you that when you compare the corpus of or litany of text that's there in the Dead Sea Scrolls and compare it with the New Testament, there is a lot of striking similarities. And you'd have to say, well, which came before the other in order to show which one influenced the other. And we can date a lot of what we read in the Dead Sea Scrolls back further before the things that we see in the New Testament. So the point I'm trying to say is that the influence that we see in the New Testament, it came from those who were from the Quran community, and they have a text called the Melchizedek Scroll. Have you read the Melchizedek Scroll?
No.
Okay. So when you get a chance, go back and read the Melchizedek Scroll, and they'll tell you what happened to that order. They explain all of that. And the followers of Yeshua, they subscribe to that same thing because that same premise is there in the book of Hebrews. So what I'm saying is if these people who are not what we call messianic, they don't believe in Yeshua, Christ, Jesus, what people call it, gave an entire concept of Melchizedek based on the Tanakh, and they're not what we call messianics, then we can simply see why that same premise, which is prevalent in the New Testament, why they would take their leader and liken him unto the same Melchizedek priest that you see in that letter or that text of Melchizedek. And you can look it up for yourself, right?
Is it possible that they're worshiping the false Jesus that's in the New Testament?
No, because that predates the New Testament.
Okay, so then back to my point though.
Sure.
When we talk about salvation, if you say there's enough merit in there to believe that that's true, then how do you reconcile that with the Isaiah verse where God says that he's the only savior? I understand you said there's different types of salvation, but biblically, can you show me there's different types of salvation? You can show me where we're saved from our enemies.
A savior,
that's not the same salvation.
A savior cannot come from a wooden idol. So if there's a Gentile nation that has a wooden idol who believes that that wooden idol is their savior outside of the Most High, then they're in error. And that is exactly what we read in the book of Isaiah. If we simply read the context, that has nothing to do.
What part do you say has merit then? Because that's what we have to get down to, I guess.
If I say, what you mean when I say what part has merit? You talking about the New Testament?
Correct.
Okay.
Because I asked you about
the book of
through Jesus, and you said basically yes.
The book of Matthew. If we go to the book of Matthew, there is heavy merit in the book of Matthew. And if you want to look at the reconstructed form of the book of Matthew,
any of that merit
hold on.
The Old Testament.
I said no. I said nothing in the so-called New Testament trumps anything in the Tanakh. I already said that to you. So in order for you to understand what's going on in the so-called New Testament, you would have to have the lens of the Tanakh and understand the culture. And when you understand the culture and you understand the things that transpired after we get the end of the Persian Empire and we go into the Greco-Roman Empire and see all the changes that happened, all the amalgamation via Hellenism and how the Romans came on the scene and how they staked their claim in the properties that they took over from the Maccabean or the Hasmonean dynasty that was ruling at the time. When you understand all of this history and then you open up what's called the New Testament, then you will align that information with the preceding information from the Tanakh and be able to look at the other groups that was there at that time. And then you can get a better view of what you see in what's called the New Testament. If you do not take that approach to understand the New Testament, you're simply going to be reading a religion into the text.
I don't think there's any, and I respect what you're saying, but this is where I think you're saying, and I may be wrong.
Sure.
What I think you're saying is that there is enough information for you to believe that there's salvation through who they call Christ. I know you're saying the more ancient name, but for you to believe that over the Old Testament, when there's certain things we know, that there was no Jesus there that our forefathers were praying to specifically.
I never said that they prayed to him. I never said that, but there was a high
He
priest.
wasn't there. You said he
There
wasn't
was
there in the
there was
old,
always
but you
a
also
high
said
there was
that God doesn't change.
there was
So
always
how do you reconcile
there was
that?
always a high priest from Abraham all the way to Malachi that always preceded in Yom Kippur, and then there was other lower priests that were responsible for helping the people get their sins propitiated. And they would have to go to these priests in order for this to be done. This is the prerequisite before they can receive repentance, full repentance from any sin that they committed. So what I'm simply saying is that this same archetype, we find it in what's called the Brit Hadashah. And I show examples of it. Like I said, I can't get into everything right now because I'm going to end this right now. We can always do a part 2, Chris, but I'm going to end this right now because we'll be going back and forth, and I'm okay with that. But it's been over 3 hours, and I wanted to close out the session before then. But let me do this. No. It's okay. Let me do this, right? Let me give you a few minutes, give your bottom line, right? And then I'm gonna give mine, and then we can save this for another time, okay? All right, so go ahead. I'll give you a few minutes.
Say that again, brother.
No, I'm gonna give you the floor. I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay, yeah. So I see all the haters in the chat room. I ain't worried about y'all, man. All praise to all y'all. Thank you, Brother Ron, for giving me the time to speak with you about this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my position is at the end of the day is I believe that Jesus was created. I believe there were 2 Jesuses in the Bible, and there's one that is doing all these miraculous things that we can't explain. And the only one that can do that, in my opinion, is Satan. And I believe that the devil was basically essentially using that fake Jesus to pull away the saints, because he made a deal with the Most High to rule for 40 and 2 months. That time is we're still under that time. And that's why we're still in the Gentile rule. So anything we try to do, we're going to be hampered by because of all this different doctrine. And I think that Paul was the main pusher of this Jesus doctrine, and I think he was conflicted. You can go to verses like Romans 2 and 24, where he says that the name of the Most High is blasphemy amongst the Gentiles. And then you got verses where he says in Romans 1 and 25, who changed the truth of God into a lie, said worship the creature more than the creator. And then he even tells on himself in Romans 3 and 7, where he says, for if the truth of my lie has more abundance, then why am I judged a sinner? So these are clear cuts, in my opinion, that Paul is questionable, but he had truths to him. You can't just, if we're going to dismiss things, the whole school system is a lot, K through 12, but we still use that as a standard of if we have an education or not. So that doesn't matter in terms of what he was saying. You have to go into what he was saying. So essentially, that's my position, brother.
Cool. Okay. So I appreciate you from joining on the panel, Chris, and for voicing your perspective. I respect you, right? I do see you as my brother. I respect you. I do still feel that you trolled to get to this point so we could talk, but that's fine. That's fine. I look for that's all good. Yeah, right. But I look forward to having a follow-up discussion with you. Again, what we can probably do is just do a friendly debate, right? You pick the subject matter. And what we will do is that we'll spend about an hour and a half. We'll go back, we'll structure it, go back and forth. You can bring forth your scriptures or whatever evidence you want. I'll bring forth mine, and we can just lay it bare for the audience and have them make their decision from there. I think that will be fair. And if there's any references that I use that you're not familiar with, I want to be able to furnish them to you, because I don't want to do ambush scholarship, right? I want to give you everything that I have access to so you can verify and validate the points that I'm making based on the sources that I'm utilizing, okay? So I want to be sure to do that. So if I said anything here and I follow up discussion from now until then, you can email me, right? Say, hey, look, I heard you reference this, and that. Can you give me the source for that? I'll give you the source for that. And you can examine it for yourself. So that way, when I speak on it, you have knowledge of it, and we're both at an equal position to speak on it, right? I don't do ambush scholarship, right? That's just how I am. What I want to say to you, Chris, is that you put a lot of things on record tonight. Okay, a lot of things that the text itself does not say, that you say, that I guess you're saying is there by implication, but then you would have to be able to validate that for us externally. Like a lot of things that you're saying about the text being tampered with, then you'd have to show us how are you deriving what is true and what is not, if you don't want to use sources external to the text itself, right? To be able to demonstrate that. You'd have to show controversies, and you'd have to show conspiracies in regards to Rome working with Paul in order to do what he was doing and saying what he was saying and lying the way he was lying in the New Testament. Any verse that you bring to me, what I will do is that take my time and I will go through it with you point for point, so we can properly exegete what the text is saying and not take it out of context and then take it and cherry pick it and then correlate it somewhere else where they're really not mutually related, right? And that's just my methodology, right? I utilize the text, what the text says at a surface level. I also try to go to the original language when there's some difficulties in the surface level reading. And then I try to go into history and or any kind of archaeological records in order to help further validate what the text is saying if there's a disagreement. Because one principle that's laid down by the text is that anytime there's a trial, you need 2 or 3 witnesses in order for something to be a conviction to be had, right? So in order for me to bring forth what I'm saying and to have weight behind what I'm saying, I will always try to bring 2 or 3 witnesses to validate what my point is, so people don't think that it's my own opinion, but I'm able to use a particular methodology to validate my position. I think you did a good job, but I just want to let you know that I've heard a lot of what you said before from other people that build with me all the time, that have the same angle that you have, the same passion that you have. So I deal with this all the time. So this is why I'm able to be patient enough with you, because I'm able to stand on my square, and I'm sure you're able to as well. But being able to exercise patience is because I can already predict the trajectory in which you're going, and I can meet you there and be able to walk you through what it is we're discussing, right? I learned a couple of things from things that you said that I will go back and review, because I'm not ashamed to say that, right? I'm a student before I'm a teacher. But what I will say ultimately to you, my brother, is that in this discussion, even though I've learned some things from you and you've made probably some valid points, you fell short in a lot of areas, right? You fell short. And I'm saying that to you as my brother, and I will give you the opportunity to go back to revisit the things that we discussed, or even things that I said. And if you get a chance, because I know people have busy schedules, right? I don't know what your schedule is, but go back and look at the playlist that I have on the New Testament. Because once you watch that, that is where you should be arguing me from. Not a position that you have in your mind already from people who believe the New Testament, but from my position on the New Testament. I have maybe about 10 videos on it. You can pick any one of them and read it. And then when we debate, the only thing that will be valid and won't be considered a straw man is something that I said that you can quote and said, listen, you said this, then you can hold me to that, because then I have to defend that. But if I didn't say certain things and you trying to pin it on me to defend it from somebody else's position, that's a straw man, right? So that's why I want to give you the opportunity to do it. We can, so we can do this maybe, I guess, another 3 weeks or a month. Give you some time to put yourself.
About 6 months, brother. On you,
man, you playing.
I told you I was nervous before I got on.
Nah, you didn't sound nervous at all. You sound like you was ready. you probably chop it up with brothers like this all the time, so you're sharp. I can tell you're sharp. But the only thing that I'm trying to do is not disprove you, but simply get you to consider some things, right, that you may have overlooked or may not have paid attention to before, just to see if what I'm saying has any merit or any value. I'm not telling you have to believe anything I believe. I'm not telling you subscribe to the all New Testament, all the Bible. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply want to go to the point on the defensive, the points that you're making, walk you through what my particular position is on it and how I derived at the conclusion. And if you want to follow up at another time with one particular subject matter, so we're not going all over the place, and we want to have a structured, friendly debate on that, let's do it. I'll let you pick the subject. Let me know what it is. You can email me. You can give me the time frame, how much time you want. We can do it and come back on here. Do you put together PowerPoints? You know how to do that?
No, man. I just watch you brothers get down, man. Like I said, I'm just honored to have some time with you and just kind of get some things cleared up. I'm gonna need about 6 months, brother. I ain't gonna be doing what you call trolling. I'm gonna study your videos, and I'm gonna come back with, just to see where we're at.
And we don't have to debate immediately. I mean, from now to then, we can have more discussions, I'm saying, right? So there's more clarity on both positions, because I still am not fully aware of what your position is, right? I don't know do you have videos somewhere where you speak on what your position, or the papers that you've written or anything like that, so I can go back and look at it, so I can cite you when I'm having a discussion with you? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a Facebook page somewhere that you're putting this information out somewhere?
No. I follow somebody specifically, and I follow a brother named Rap the News.
So wait, I know who that is. I know who Rap the News is, and this is why I know you have an issue with Sakari, because he has an issue with Sakari. But yeah, I know who Rap the News is. And if you're saying that, pretty much what he teaches is basically you're in alignment with that, then I will cite the things that he's saying and hold you to it, since you said that's the person that you follow. And then hopefully you'll be able to defend that position, or you can bring him on the platform, right? And me and him can have a dialogue. It's up to you. However you want to do it, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm simply saying, my brother, I'm not here to argue, to fight, to demean you, belittle you. All I'm simply trying to do is say, let's walk together, right? Let's agree on some things so we can at least walk together. Now, we're going to find some issues or some, obstacles along the way, but as long as there's some fundamental things that we agree together as brothers in this walk, in this truth, I think we can go very far and learn from each other. Okay?
Con, thank you for your time, Brother Ron.
Anytime, Chris. So you enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your Sabbath, okay?
You too.
All right, shalom. All right. So, family, let me wrap up, okay? So, at the end of the day, I know why people want to see a bloodbath, right? They want to see brothers get cut up and beat up and stuff like that. And in some instances, if somebody if they are exhibiting a degree of malice towards you, or they want some harm to happen to you, or they want some harm to happen to your family or your life, in a case like that, then you're going to really have to deal with something more seriously. If it's simply somebody that has a disagreement with you, right, but you guys can agree on some fundamental things so you can walk together as you're talking, then I personally do not see them as an enemy, as the ops, or whatever the case you want to put it. I simply want to walk with the brother and show him how I derive my conclusions, right? Now, again, like I told the brother, he put a great effort, put his best foot forward, but there's simply some things that the brother is unaware of that I simply want to share with him. And I want to give him the sources. I want to give him the tools so he can be able to verify and validate the things that I'm saying. And I want to give him a point of reference to things that I've already put out so he can cite from that and use that to say, hey, you said this statement. Please explain to us what you mean by that and show us how you're able to defend it. And then from there, I want to either rebut it or refute it and give the brother the opportunity to do that. I don't want to do any ambush scholarship. I'm extremely fair. I let the brother talk. He interjected with me a couple of times, and I think because he was probably, like he said, nervous a little bit, then he got a little bit passionate. So I'm not going to say he was intending to be rude, because you see at one point he caught himself and said, you know what, you're right. So it just seems like the brother has a lot of zeal, and that's good. I just want him to be zealous with the tools that will allow him to be more accurate, right? That's all. And I guess some people think they could just jump on here and it'll be, I'm not saying him per se, and be real easy to go back and forth with me. It's really not, right? Because there's a million different angles that I can utilize to share information. A lot of times people try to restrict me just to one thing, to one singularity. And I said, okay, I'll entertain that. But in order for us to get more broader understanding of some things, we have to be able to expand from there. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not, G-Jab, I'm not saying you particular. I'm just saying when people go back and see this video and they share, they go, oh, he got cut up. He got this. That's fine. I mean, we seen that Brother Chris was not ready for this type of dialogue, and that's fine, right? And that's okay. This is an opportunity for him to learn. He's been challenged. This is an opportunity for him to learn. So next time we have a follow-up discussion, he could be more sharper, he could be more accurate, and then he'll have more tools in order for him to make his decision, right? My objective is to learn from the brother and teach him at the same time, right? Even if everything he said was wrong, there's still something I can learn based on what the brother is exhibiting, what he's saying, what he's trying to prove, where his error may be. There's always a learning experience, right? So I appreciate the brother from coming in. And again, we have to learn how to handle our brothers and sisters. And I think the issue is when somebody has a doctrinal disagreement with you, and I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying in general, you automatically paint them as a target, and you automatically want to show off and be able to demonstrate that you have more knowledge in them, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're retarded, they're an idiot, they're ignorant. And we feel this way, right? This is our internal feelings that we have bottled up due to bitterness, due to anger. And it's called displacement, because in other areas of our life that we would like to put that energy towards, we can't. So we bottle it up and we allow doctrine to be that vessel for us to push out all of that stuff that we have stored up and be able to project that onto other people. This is what happens sometimes. So it's all in the character of the individual that's giving the information. Look to see, is this person intending to build with this person, or are they looking to destroy? If they're looking to destroy, we need to wean away from those people. But if they're looking to build, We need to cleave closer to those people. And you'll see, as I have discussions with people that come on here, whether they agree with me or not, there's a certain degree of decorum in which I carry to let them know that I don't see you as my enemy. We disagree, right? You may be getting beat up and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it is a learning experience. This is how we grow. This is how our character is refined. Okay, this is how we know that the Ruach is actually working on our behalf based on how you demonstrate. And when you know you stand on truth, you're not going to be shaky. You can be patient. You can afford to be patient when you stand on the truth, right? When you can validate what you say, you can afford to be patient. You can afford to persevere. You can afford not to take things personally. And these are traits that take time to refine. And I'm still in the process of refining it, but I just realized that it's very good for the audience to get what's being said when patience is being utilized, when it's a degree of love or benefit of doubt for the other person is being exemplified. And then this allows the audience to be able to take in what's going forth. So I never want to let them know that I'm here to demean, disrespect, belittle you. I'm here to hear what you're saying. And I'm saying when you say something that's on record, you must defend the things that you say. And just to note that, you know, if we really get into it, I'm going to take you a million different ways, and I just need you to follow. And you can if you simply look at the material that I've already put out on a particular subject matter before having a discussion. And that's what the brother needs to do. So with that, much love to my brother, Chris. Like I said, my brother, I learned some from you, but the majority of that discussion, I mean, the people clearly saw that there's still some stuff you need to take into consideration. So use this as a learning experience for yourself, for you to go back and pick up some things and see if the angle that you utilized before was effective or not, so you can be more refined and more sharp the next time you have a dialogue, my brother, okay? So much love and respect to you. All right, family, so I'm about to wrap up. Is there any last-minute questions? And I see there's a lot of people in here now. Shout out to Devin in the building. Love Yas Coils. Shalom, sis. Moriel Fall. Lioness Judah. Calhoun 22. Calhoun, I was going to get to Nehemiah 9:27 for the brother, but we'll keep that for the next discussion. My brother Chris Brownson, I said, what's up to you? Shank Productions 1, what's going on? Howard Seraphin, what's going on, my brother? Let me see. DJ is there in the building. Did I miss anybody? ABC 1908, cool story, bro. What's going on? How you doing? You know what I mean? Let me see. And I think that's everybody that was interacting. Oh, my sis, Noelia in the building. What's going on, sis? And I think I caught everybody. If you want to shout out, family, hit 1. Let me give you a shout out before I close. Hit 1. If you want to shout out before I close. Again, if you're enjoying the content, hit the thumbs up. We went over a lot of information that you guys can go back, rewind, and take notes and review and be able to come back and say, Divine, you know, you was wrong on this point, or Divine, man, you was good on this point. This is what we do in our community to peer review the things that we put out so we can hold each other accountable, right, to the standards. Because if we're saying we're Israel, then we're all putting ourselves in the same boat. So we must help each other become sharp, be aware, so that way that brother or sister of yours, if they fall, right, you know how to cover them. And if you fall, they know how to cover you. You know, strive to make more allies than enemies, okay? So definitely hit that thumbs up, family. There's a whole bunch of y'all in here. The thumbs up is not reflecting the amount of people in here. Please, if you're not hit thumbs up and you're enjoying this material, hit the thumbs up. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. I'm okay with that, okay? If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button, all right? Also, be able to share this video as well everywhere so more people can get access to the subject matter that's being discussed, all right? And what I want to say in closing, family, is that, again, part 2 for the lecture entitled El Shaddai, Yod He Wav He, and El Elyon, 3 of a kind or one and the same. Part 2 will be done next Saturday, next Sabbath, not this Sabbath, okay? And when I do part 2, it's going to be recorded. It's not going to be live streamed due to the lack of internet access at the site in which I'm going to do the lesson at. Therefore, I'm going to take the video, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to put things on the screen in case something's not legible on the screen from the monitor that I'm using for the lecture. And I'm going to reserve that specifically and particularly for the Patreon pledgers so they can get some exclusive content for their continued devotion of KHM ministry. Okay, if you guys want me to open up, we need, I think, 4 more pledges between now and next Saturday. If we can get 4 more pledges, then we'll leave it exclusive for about 3 days. And then from there, we'll open it up to everybody else. So far, we only got 1 pledge. So if those of you want to invest in this ministry, you can go to our Patreon. You can do a $10 pledge, a $20 pledge, a $50 pledge, or you can modify. You can do a $5, $1 pledge, $20, $50 pledge. It's simply up to you. We simply want to show the community outside of us at large that we are willing to support not only the information that's going out, but the actual activities that's being done in the community. If you're in Atlanta, I showed the flyer earlier, okay? Meet us at Tyler Perry Studios at 6:30 p.m., where we're going to, put forth an advocacy for charter schools and the need for charter schools and the need for customized curriculum and environments when teachers are being paid for their labor and their endeavor, more so than what we're getting from public schools. Public schools, we have overcrowded classes, we have teachers that are underpaid, and we have the quality of the curriculums is subpar. You understand what I'm saying? And the parents have little input to how the curriculum is shaped, formed, and fashioned. Whereas in a charter school, you have more of a say-so, right? And if our community is leading the charge and we're introducing charter schools, ours is called Infinity Charter Schools, right? And the private school portion is called a higher academy. All right, we're doing these things and we need our community to support our endeavors. Okay, so you can use KHM by investing in KHM, by donating to KHM as a means of you not being able to physically be there, but we can take the resources and help galvanize more people to get there on your behalf to make this voice known, because you can benefit once this thing becomes nationally accredited and we get the funding that we need in order to provide this service for free. You understand, family? So there has to be some people that are going to be willing to invest in the beginning, and then you will see an ROI in due time, right? We've been able to give free services of debt elimination and naturopathic health conversation based on the pledges and the donation coming from you guys. I've been able to have time to get more R&D with information because you guys support this channel. You share this channel. You thumbs up this channel. You donate to this channel. You guys make things happen. That's why every time I get on live, I shout out everybody in the chat, because all of y'all play a role in the success of KHM and how far we can actually go. All right. We cannot do it without you guys. We're here to serve you. So we provide this as a service to the community. And if more of us can get in that mindset to serve one another, we have little to no issues, and we will be living Torah, not just reading it, not just philosophizing it, but actually living Torah. Are you living Torah today? And don't say, oh, because Divine subscribes to ancient Pre-Exilic Israelite culture, he's not living Torah, when I'm simply going back to Torah and the rest of the Tanakh and showing you how these things was actualized during that time period. You understand what I'm saying? I'm simply trying to give it over to you guys. So again, if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, hit thumbs up if you're enjoying this, family. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for showing out and staying up to almost 4 in the morning to get this information. Okay. I appreciate that. Shout out to Noelia. She says 5th year as a teacher. That's what's up. You know, Noelia, if you're interested, once Infinity Charter Schools launches, we get the support so we can launch it. We can also bring you on board as one of the teachers if you're interested. Okay. I think that will be a good way to start to incorporate people who are in the community to be active in doing something to actually have an impact on our community, because we are really the light. You know, the Most High has created us to be priests unto the nations. How are we serving the Most High? How are we serving him? By working into the nations or working through the nations to awaken our people. And then once they awaken, don't awaken them to emptiness, but provide services, goods, and products, and give them organizations to join and things to do so they can intervene and interpose in the affairs of the city, so that way they may enact peace. We are the peacemakers. Are you living your life as a peacemaker, or do you have nothing but chaos around you? And when future lectures come out, you will learn how to make the proper appeal before Yah that is repeatable. But you got to first understand what the prerequisites are and satisfy the prerequisites in order for your appeal to be repeatable. And I'm gonna allow my life to be the testimony for you guys. And again, as a testimony, I'm not saying I'm the model that everybody should follow. I'm saying I'm just using my life as a testimony that the things that I'm sharing, that I'm enacting and yielding results that I simply want you guys to get as well. All right. Calhoun 22. Yes, you're correct, Calvin. That's correct. So Howard said, when are you coming to Orlando? I wanted to come to Orlando in December, but it may be a lot due to a transition in regards to my 9-to-5 work that I do, and other priorities that's coming up. So if I can make it to Orlando in December, I will. If not, then I plan to be there after the holidays, when it's going to be less, congestion, and less traffic and less people, and things are going to be, at a better price to travel, and, set up a event lecture at least 2 months in advance, when we go out to Orlando to speak there, and or just set up a fellowship on a Sabbath and just get together with everybody that's there in Orlando and just have a roundtable discussion where I will live stream it so that people here can check it out. Okay. Similar to what you guys saw when I was in Gainesville, Florida with the Berean Council brothers. All right. So Jetson, nope, we're still working on that. Like I said, hopefully in January, but you guys will have at least a 30-day notice. When the date is set, there will be a flyer created and presented, okay, that you guys can hold me to, that will have a time, a date, and a location. Okay. Kendrick Black said, are you coming to Texas? Yes, I will be in Houston in March of next year. There's a big event coming out in March of next year. I will give you more details on that once they fix the flyer. They have to re-edit the flyer. And once they finish editing the flyer, I will present that flyer. I think it should be available next live stream and show it to you guys, because I'm part of another organization that's carrying out an event in March of next year. Hi. So let me go ahead and sign up for y'all. You know you're supposed to be sleeping, right? Say hi.
Hi.
Say shalom.
Shalom.
Say Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Say I love you all.
I love you.
Wave to them. There you go. Now you probably can't see them because you see me, but they're in the chat room, okay?
Okay.
And they can see you. All right. All right. So definitely, fam, like I said, hit me up if y'all need anything. kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Shama's gonna put the email address back in the chat in case y'all need anything. If I can help y'all with anything, if you guys want to provide any information to me, or let me know any activities happening in the area. If you guys want to join KHM, you can do so. kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And just holler at me. You understand what I'm saying? And just let me know what's going on. They want to know, how old are you?
2.
2? Okay. 2. And just let me know if there's anything that we could do for y'all. But like I said, for me, that charter school fight and advocacy is extremely important, because as you can see, I have little ones and I don't want them to be adversely affected due to a lack of options. Okay. Definitely. All right. So with that being said, family, I love y'all. Thank you for watching. Like I said, there's a lot that was said. Go back, tune in, eat the meat, spit out the bones. If you may, hit the thumbs up before we go. Hit that subscribe button, share this video, and let's get us to 4 more pledges, so that way we can give that part 2. Man, I'm putting some stuff in it. If y'all can only see the notes that I have over here, I have notes. Hold on, let me show y'all the notes, man. I'll spoil you all with the notes. Let me show y'all the notes so you can see the notes. See all this? This is all notes. See this? More notes. And the other ones is on these papers. Oh, it's right here. There's some more notes. And on the front paper, there's other things on it. And I have other papers with notes. I have at least 6 pages of notes here. And this is not including all the references that I have that I'll be utilizing. And again, giving y'all some other archaeological finds and so forth to correlate with the text. But I can see. But like I said, This is going to be extremely impactful. The objective is to innovate in areas that are stagnant within our community, to drive critical thinking. And you see that through critical thinking, it'll get you back in alignment with the patron deity, and what his will is for us in these end times. And we can really make a difference in the community, man. And that's what we want to do at the end of the day. All right. You see, she took it out because somebody had made a reference to it. So with that, family, man, I love y'all. Thank you for watching again. Let me get off here because, I can hang with y'all for hours, but she just woke up. So I got to take care of this. And I need to start working more on refining that project that I'm going to reserve for your next Sabbath. All right. So much love, family. If any of y'all, shout out to Calvin Riley in the building. Anybody, Tanya Pratt, hit one if you want a last minute shout out. I think y'all hit one earlier. Let me see if I can find it. Shout out to Corey Too Logical, True Boy 37, East Coast King in the building. What's going on? Anybody else want a last minute shout out? Hit one and then I am signing off. All right, hit one and I'll sign off, man. All right. Shema, tell me Yahoo. All right, this brother got tracks for days, man. Hit him up. Matter of fact, I'll play his track next time we go live. All right, I'll play his track. All right. All right. So I think that's everybody. All right. So thank you, family, for watching. Peace, shalom. Y'all enjoy your rest, man. Shout out to Dimitri Elder in the building, and I'll holla at y'all next time. All right, family. Shalom. Say shalom.
Shalom.
Say shalom.
Shalom.